All right, I will call to order the Monday, April 13th, 2026 special meeting. If you would, please stand and join me for a pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Well, I want to start off just thanking the counselors, thank the team with HWC, and obviously town staff and everybody for making the time to be here. I want to thank the community for their engagement and involvement, continued engagement and involvement. What I want to just kind of point out here, the intent of this meeting is to come up with a final draft for our first Monday in May council meeting, where at that point we will have public speaking or input in the public speaking process at the beginning of the meeting. But as it stands now, we kind of have this draft that everybody has some questions about and you know, some potential modifications and whatnot. And I just want to make sure we get a final draft, if you will, for that Monday meeting. So, Adam, I thought maybe what we could do is start with, and I appreciate the hard copy here, the map and the certain changes. I know that we've had a lot of feedback on different areas, what we want to remove, what, you know, land use, area, that kind of stuff. Can we go through just real quick and talk about what, if anything, you have changed, even if it's just grammar? I know there were some other things there, like what modifications have taken place, and then we'll kind of go into conversation. I'll probably let Councilor Norris lead the conversation with the next steps from here.
Sure. And I, just want to reiterate your thank you. I know all of you are busy. Another meeting on the calendar is never probably a high desire, but really appreciate your time in making this happen. I will say, yeah, what we've done is, or what I've done is take all of the comments that came from Councilor Norris after our presentation at what was your February meeting, received some additional comments directly from other council members, or that also included Councilor Norris on that, and compiled this large list. Really the only, my understanding was that those comments necessarily had not been vetted or represent consensus of the full council. So really the only changes that we have made to date are those that have been formatting, grammar, and what I would consider necessary, don't change intent or policy, and should be, non-controversial. Everything else, again, has been synthesized but has not changed. So just as an example, on the map I just handed you, I created this quickly to help facilitate conversation today. The areas circled in magenta and lettered A through G are areas where we received a comment about the future land use map, but we have not made a change to that map yet. So I hope that clarifies it.
No, it does. Councilor Norris, how do you think we want to move forward here? Do we want to focus on these areas right now and just kind of go through alphabetically A through G, what feedback has happened?
I think we let Adam kind of go through what he's marked down as A through G, what the current zoning is, what everyone's thoughts are, and then maybe that'll help to drive some of the discussion maybe for the priority discussion points. What do you think, Adam? How would you envision?
Yeah, and so what I've done with the handout is 4 categories, the one being the priority discussion points, where I think those were some of the initial comments that were received that I assume to be higher priority, as well as the ones that I've interpreted as maybe more head nodding or maybe some more consensus with those, but need to confirm, as well as certainly the things that would be a change, or even if it's an incremental marginal change in policy direction or content in the plan. The second category are those grammar, formatting, as well as some word choice. Sentence read a little awkward, so we've proposed some changes to those. I don't think we need to spend as much time with that. And then the last couple categories are comments that came in that I want to certainly acknowledge. I think some of them were maybe more rhetorical or elevating an issue that you all need to consider outside of the comprehensive plan, or maybe relate to another town policy initiative document. But again, I don't want to be dismissive of those. So if those were your comments, or if you forwarded those on behalf of someone else and they need to be elevated to discussion, certainly hope we have time for that. I would say, yeah, I think the land use map is certainly one of the most critical. Maybe just before that, in the handout, item number 1, it relates to land use, but also has some broader implications across the document. So there were a couple comments related to apartments or multifamily housing and potentially removing reference to apartments as approved uses. That could impact some of the land use classifications. And again, you know, kind of the idea, do we want apartments listed in the comp plan? I would say at a minimum, we need to acknowledge certainly existing multifamily development, and there are places on the future land use map where we show multifamily development, and that is because they are there. So that kind of, I would say we can jump into the map, but just kind of keep that in mind as it may have some implications for the discussion. So
If to keep this as streamlined and uniform for maybe the public's benefit, would it make the most sense to go through priority discussion list, starting with number 1, because it's got our, am I correct, A through G are encompassed in the priority discussion list?
yeah, those are primarily items 2 through 5.
Okay, maybe
on
let's
the
just
list.
do it that way, then that way we can just follow a sequential pattern that everyone can follow. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yes, and I was just going to note for the council, I'm going to take notes that I can send to everyone. And I do know on the third category, Adam, that Councilor Sampson wanted to save some time at the end to discuss 33, 37, 40, 43, and 55. And then maybe a little bit of just kind of general discussion about some of the South Village landowner use.
Sure.
So I think that's the priority for that list.
Yep. And again, I'll just say, you know, I think to reiterate what Jason or Councilor Plunkett said, our intent is to walk away with enough direction that we can be at your May meeting with clear, here's the edit. So some things like this apartment discussion, as I mentioned, it's multiple places in the document. I think our intent, we want to walk away with clear direction, and then we'll find everywhere that needs to be changed and have that for you in May. That being a little broader, some of the other ones are much more explicit.
I think we could jump in a couple different, I'm all game for working through what you have laid out. I do believe that the land use definitions are gonna be cross-functional, if we could agree on something. So
Yeah.
they'll come chicken or egg, but I think that's to me, the land use definitions of what's allowable and not, it's gonna drive a lot of overlay here. And then, is that the appropriate place on the map? To me, those are like the beefiest part of kind of
Yeah.
what still has to be determined. So however y'all wanna start, but I mean, we're gonna get into land use definitions quickly.
We'll just start with number 1. Yeah. Let's just start with number 1 and just knock that one out, because that may help to drive a lot of the conversation here today.
Yeah, I think if we're going down the list, you know, I mentioned at the, I think it was in the February meeting, my personal thought as it relates to multifamily is not to restrict it, obviously, where it currently exists, but not to put it in places where it doesn't. Specifically, you know, I look at places in the village that don't have it. I look at the Regional Activity Center that's up here at 421 and 32. My concern, candidly, is if it's considered an approved land use, even if it's a secondary, well, I guess it's a primary, they were primary land uses on here. My concern is that's what's going to go in there first. And as we've talked about a number of times, specific to even that 421 area, I think we get the right project, the right development up there, and that's kind of the first domino to fall. I don't think that we want multifamily to be that first domino. So that was my thoughts as it relates to multifamily, certainly allowing it where it currently is permitted, but not opening that door. Obviously, that also puts us in a spot where if a project comes to us that we like, we certainly have the flexibility to make an adjustment and approve it, but we're not essentially locked into it because the land use already exists.
What if we put some caveat language, and Adam, I don't know about this, but what if we remove the reference to multifamily and to apartments kind of throughout the document? And what if we put a standalone paragraph about just, at least this document's intent is to not, that we just don't think that it fits Zionsville's character, the quality that we are looking for necessarily, or what we're looking to have in our town, and that multifamily should only be approved in very, very, very unique or circumstances, like circumstances that come up and it's like, okay, this makes complete sense. I can't think of one off the top of my head right now, but I don't want to lock us in necessarily to saying that we would never, ever approve it.
That's actually one of the ones I wanted to follow up on at the end of the meeting as we get to the later numbers. One of my points that I made was, I feel like we need a page that talks about the future. And I know that we talked about a snapshot in time that the comprehensive plan is, but I actually think if we have one page of things that are already approved and possibilities being the caveat that other projects that are not listed could come before council for approval. Even just that statement right there is what we were trying to do in South Village, if you remember. We were trying to say, take all the housing units out, bring your projects one by one. And we've had a few things come one by one, and we've decided yay or nay on a couple of things. And I think that's what the council's intent is, but correct me if I'm wrong, that we just wanted to prevent the rubber stamp of, we said restaurants could go in this scientific area that we're trying to do, and now it's all restaurants. You know, so I think that goes along with the apartments. It's not that we're against multifamily 100%. We just don't want it to be the first option in every new area that we're trying to develop. So that's the page I was asking for, was the future. I think there needs to be a page. If it's a plan, it should be not just goals of specific areas, but also what the town is trying to do. And that's why if we've already approved some areas, I feel they should show up in our comprehensive plan because they're already approved.
Kind of a summary of
What's to come?
major, and what would essentially be entitled projects, right, through zoning and, but that have yet to be built.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll say, I'm happy to include that. I would look to Roger and Jody to maybe help inform what that list exactly is. I mean, obviously, you know, we know some of them, but how many units that is or what percentage some of those projects are built out, we would look for some assistance, but.
But even in that same narrative, that would be the space in my mind where it would say something about multifamily. Multifamily is not excluded from our comprehensive plan. It just needs to come on a case-by-case basis.
It's kind of understood. I mean,
But if we're pulling it out from everywhere,
I kind of thought just maybe one very simple paragraph
Yeah.
about it. Like you'll notice that multifamily is not mentioned in here is because at the time of this incorporation of this, the town didn't see any good spots to put multifamily, because I really can't think of anywhere on this map where multifamily project would fit. So I'm fine with removing it, and I'm fine if we add additional language. I guess I'll open it up to what everyone else wants to do.
Yeah, I mean, my concern with opening it up to you mentioned like a special exception, like I certainly don't want it to go through the BZA for a special exception.
Yeah,
through
that's
that
not
process.
necessarily what I'm,
Yeah.
more of like
it's like the process to bring it to the council.
A case
Just
by
spelling
case.
out that
Yeah.
case-by-case basis presentation is the process for bringing multifamily to Zionsville.
I mean, I guess, number one, it's not a hill I'm willing to die on. Number two, I look back, over history, and again, we keep coming back to, this is a plan. And so if somebody wants to do multifamily at some point in the future, there's a process for that.
Right.
You guys know where I am on this, but I would be in favor of striking it altogether. And once, because I could change my opinion once all the existing ones come online and we see what it does to our infrastructure. So for me, at this point in time, I'm 100% okay with striking it altogether, because if the right one comes along, there's still a process where that can be approved.
I agree, and I'm to Evan's point, when we're talking about development, we're typically looking mostly at District 1, but it could be other districts, but it's mostly in that rural space, and to Evan's point, I don't see any area along there where I would want to see multifamily. I don't want that to be what people see when they drive up and down Michigan Road or even 32. So I like the idea of just striking it and then,
But does that push it to the BZA, that it's a variance instead of, no?
No. It would, and for the most part, yeah, except where there is already zoning that allows it, which I think generally aligns with where the apartment complexes already are, or if it's part of a PUD, but it would need to be a rezone.
At the end of the day, the underlying zoning will still dictate whether or not, right? And so they're still gonna go try to get their zoning entitlements that they wanna get at the end of the day, if they wanna build a multifamily project. There's nothing that the comp plan can or can't do to restrict that, other than being a guideline.
So maybe this is a Roger question. Is there anywhere out there that is currently zoned for multifamily that we need to know about that isn't where apartments are already standing? Could you come up? Would that be okay?
While he is, I would just point out, I mean, we're talking about multifamily, which is a category. However, it's also listed as a primary or secondary use in neighborhood activity center and regional activity center. And those are on this map, and I think that would have to be struck
I
as
think
well.
that's what I
that's
meant by strike it.
Yeah, I think that's what we were all, I was under that understanding.
Under any category,
Yeah.
yes, just clarifying.
I am not aware of any parcels that are currently already zoned for multifamily that are not being used for multifamily. So if a developer is contemplating a project along Michigan Road, along 32, anywhere within within the town's jurisdiction, it would require rezoning, which eventually comes before the town council for final approval. So it's not a BZA item, it's going to be a full rezoning, and only if that would be approved then it would go back through the planning commission process for development plan review and everything. Now, obviously, part of the rezoning is going first before the planning commission for the recommendation, but again, eventually, it does end up before you.
So I have a landowner that has approached me that owns the property that has the yellow calico corners at Second and Sycamore. And it has been requested that he could have housing there that may fall under multifamily zoning. And that is the one area that I've been approached by. I also was approached by the former, I don't know, it was like, what are those houses? They're gone. It's in the floodplain, right at the base of, I think, 4th and Sycamore. So that area wanted to be made into a neighborhood. And, right now they're showing open, I believe, open fields.
land.
It might be floodplain, open zoning. Both of them have approached me and asked, are you tying our hands to get approval if we are not on the comprehensive plan as being residential? So I want to at least voice their voices for them to this meeting. This would be something where what we're doing right now would probably already affect the Calico Corner property. So
Just in general, Roger, I mean, I think it's a great question of, I don't know if anyone's hands are tied at all.
those
Because
two
this
are.
isn't zoning, but
Right.
they could always come forward with a project and
I think
still
the
move forward, even though
request
it's
by-
in the comp plan identified as something, we'd like to see something else.
The request by both landowners were that we remember, and you remember, your department remember, that this is the guide of the plan, but it is not the Bible of what goes in. And that's also what we need to consider as we do what we're doing, is that even if we say something can't be there, there is a process to put it there. And I get, those two landowners wanted to make sure that that was voiced in this meeting. So I said I would. But it actually pertains to multifamily. if the project were to have businesses on the first floor and living space on the second and third. So I'm just voicing the landowner's request.
Yeah, but I mean, if you were gonna solution that, and I'm looking at the map where that's green, really because it's a floodplain, and there's a lot of that on here. I don't know that we could change, I mean, it's almost like the geography is determining that right now. It's not that, it's not ready to be built. Otherwise, I don't know what we would change it to. Like, would we, I don't know if on the comp plan you would put another category there, because it's truly is a floodplain.
I think the one that is up on the yellow Calico Corner house is not the floodplain. I think the lower one,
On the map right now, Sarah,
I want to call them
is that in
trailer
the
homes,
regional?
but I don't know what, if they have a proper mobile home park, used to be. There used to be homes there.
But is that falling in, again, I'm doing the best I can with the map, but is that particular parcel you're talking about, would that be in the green floodplain, or is it in the or is it currently in the RAC? I think it's in the RAC.
You have a blown-up map, right?
If I could, just for a second, I'll say, the floodplain, the open space, or, the open space classification on the future land use map, I'm not, I apologize, I'm not exactly sure which parcels we're talking about, but I will say, the open space classification in that area is exactly that, drawn to delineate the floodplain, which is not parcel specific. So there is a good chance that the floodplain covers a portion of the parcel, but not all of it.
Okay, it does. I think the higher land might be caught, this is where I can't get close enough in. He zoomed his picture in, where it's the Regional Activity Center, where it's pink. I think it captures the Calico Corner property. And I think there is a plan to move forward, but I think the plan to move forward includes living space on top of the business. So that's why I'm just making a mention that pulling out residential from that affects directly a plan that is somewhat in motion.
Yeah, I think if it's already in RAC, I think they're probably okay.
But if we're pulling family out,
Yes.
do you hear what we said, pull it out of everywhere,
Yes.
but the person is already planning on putting it in? So we're kind of at a timing.
Didn't we have a similar discussion when we were talking about South Village, though? And that if
Yes.
they're already approved, then
They're not approved.
They're not approved.
They're in the process.
Well, then I'm gonna probably say that's too bad, too sad.
Okay.
I mean, I can't dictate how this map will go if somebody's saying, well, I'm gonna have a project, right? I'm gonna
well,
have a project.
What if we have in the Regional Activity Center, that sentence that I said was where multifamily would be approved on a case-by-case basis? Just in that alone, that asterisk. It seems like that is the place it should go.
Yeah, and another option, again, I'm not trying to lead you anywhere specifically, if it could be something like on upper stories over commercial space so that it's not purely multifamily buildings.
I mean, you're the planner. Is that a way of saying it?
I think so, it's just, is that something you're comfortable with?
I don't know. I wanted to make sure that I went to bat for him. He is in my district, and it's definitely something, as a landowner, that he wants to talk about.
Yeah, I had to make a note of it, but I mean, and this is where it's gonna be hard to get 7 people to agree on something,
it's-
right? But at the end of the day, I do think there's a formal category that's not apartment or condominium, that's retail, residential above retail, as long as it's within a square footage that makes sense. And then
Or a
you can-
height, you know?
There are other ways to guide that, right?
I don't know that it doesn't hurt to say no multifamily and be real specific about that, as you guys are saying, but also say, on the other side, without getting site-specific or project-specific, that's where you get in a lot of trouble. Stay out of project and site-specific, but say, we are looking for premium installations of multifamily that would include potentially above commercial spaces, other unique uses, small quantities, not large quantities. I think there's some definition you can give to that that do kind of give the council some direction as to when it might be appropriate to consider a multifamily. So that is not an unreasonable thing for you to include in here. That still gives you a very strong policy against basic multifamily that I think you're looking for.
And again, I know we said we want to walk out with clear direction. If this is one where the general consensus is scrub everything we can, and we need 2 or 3 kind of policy statements as options to say, here's the one that strikes the right chord, happy to do that.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think you could remove it from neighborhood activity center, regional activity center, and then if you're gonna have a statement, some type of policy that would read, could, rather than would. Because I don't want people coming in and saying, well, no, you said it, we're doing it, so.
Understood.
I'd like to have as much, leniency here with the council in those scenarios as possible, so. But I mean, I feel good about that. I mean, when I go through, this was from the February meeting, when I go through the land use descriptions, that's kind of where I started landing was, these activity centers. Now, I had, I didn't share this with Evan, but I had townhomes, apartments, condominiums, that kind of stuff all whacked, but I'm fine just to go with multifamily there, so.
Okay.
I think you have direction on number 1.
Yes.
I think it sounds like, let's
good.
remove it and let's develop some well-crafted
Yep.
statements.
I think Heather's got maybe a statement
Well,
to,
I was just, for our purposes, Adam and I made a commitment that we were going to try to get clear, concise, actionable statements. So for number 1, I think what the consensus is remove all references to multifamily in the comprehensive plan, except for areas, and I have this written down, Adam, that are already exist or have been approved. Include a statement that premium installation of appropriate multifamily will be considered by the town council on a case-by-case basis.
I'm good with that.
Number
Can I just clarify real quickly, President Plunkin, you did mention townhomes. When you're looking at multifamily, that is not in the description, obviously, that's in our land use. So townhomes are, or they are not included in this nixing of multifamily? They're
Well,
not.
unless it's been removed, the neighborhood activity center and regional activity center includes townhomes, condominiums, single.
That does, but multifamily is just condominiums.
Yeah, no, multifamily is
Rental
apartments, yeah,
apartments.
yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Number 2, remove neighborhood activity center north of 400 South, the area E on the attached map. I think this was the one that, frankly, I had brought up multiple times. I'd brought it up in discussion. I've been kind of very strong about not really liking this particular piece of it. Welcome any other comments. I think there was consensus when I brought this up the last time as well.
Yeah, I think the only thing that's left to discuss from my standpoint is what replaces it.
Right.
And does the line that currently exists just immediately east of the or the mixed residential there, or neighborhood activity, I'm sorry, it appears that there's estate residential just south of 300 South to a point,
Right.
and then it becomes conventional. Does that line then, are we just suggesting that goes all the way across? I like that personally, just so you know. I think there's a feel to 300 South if you drive up and down it, east-west in our town. It's a very rural area. Everywhere you look, north, south, I think to have conventional subdivision come all the way up to 300 South is not the look that we have consistent through that entire stretch of road. So I like the idea of having that estate residential line come down to where it currently exists just east and have it draw all the way across.
Okay. And
What about the lower set? You're not talking about going all the way down to 400,
No, I'm just talking about this line right across there.
which is kind of what it already is.
It already is there, right?
he's just, yeah, bring it down a little
There's
bit.
currently, this blob of.
Okay,
neighborhood
but what
activity
about
center.
below that, where it's currently mixed residential, but it's also
Yeah,
a
so
regional activity center?
I believe the comment was change the circle that is E to conventional subdivision, so that, then I kind of created area D because I don't think it makes sense to have Area D as mixed residential, and then replace what was the activity center with conventional subdivision. So should the whole D and E become conventional subdivision? And then Councilman McElderry is saying he wants the rural estate area to come down a little bit to align with the line just to the east, if I'm understanding correctly.
I see that. But then everything else you would recommend to be yellow conventional.
Either, yeah, and Counselor Norris, did you have a thought there on either the mixed residential or conventional subdivision?
No, I think good planning would tell us conventional subdivision. I think my gut instinct is to say rural estate.
That whole square then, rural estate?
I mean, that's what my gut was telling me, but I'll let Adam tell me. I mean, what are your thoughts, Adam?
You're saying the whole big area that has D and E in it, the big outlined area, would become conventional? That's what you're saying?
I'm saying what I think is good planning would be, yes, D and E being conventional subdivision. My gut is telling me rural and estate residential. That's why I'm asking the planner.
I just want to follow.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to follow what he was saying,
Okay.
because I wasn't sure if D included that entire area.
Yeah, or again, or it can be split or classified some other way. I will say, you know, the mixed residential was there as a way to transition between the single or the conventional subdivision and rural estates with the activity center. If the activity center is going away, I would agree that the mixed residential doesn't make sense. There are some existing conventional subdivisions up there. We also have, some of that is immediately adjacent to the Big Four, if that would be a reason to consider allowing maybe something more like a conventional subdivision. But again, I think it's a community vision question.
I mean, I think the community vision is to keep that area rural for
As long as you can.
the next 5 to 10 years.
20.
One comment.
Go ahead.
Well, one comment, this Big Four Rail Trail is our culture, and in Zionsville is a piece of our culture in Zionsville, and for us to not capitalize on that, and it's only on one side that we would be able to capitalize on it, if I'm thinking in the right area. So as we look at it with conventional subdivision or, rural estates, I think ultimately at some point, that's the last piece of the trail that's undeveloped in Zionsville before in my opinion, I guess I don't.
Yeah, I think so.
And we have traditional subdivision all along that. So I would hate to cut us off from being able to develop along that trail with something a little bit more dense than especially rural estate residential. And we just approved the property to the south to be a residential that is inclusive of, an age restrictive, as well as it has 20% of, common. To me, that piece of land is prudent to the town of Zionsville for a little bit more density. But I understand that we do have some voices that don't want that densification in that, and they want to keep it rural. But I think we would be remiss just to not hear that out loud at this meeting, that Big Four Rail Trail can sustain a little more density.
What's next to it? What's coming in on the
Well,
Whitestown side?
Can I just make sure that we're all on the same page here? So the very bottom southern line of that mixed residential is 400 South. The trail will run on the south side of that road. It currently does today, where the Epcon subdivision is.
Correct.
To the north of that is just 6 or 7 large estate lot sized homes to the north side of there. And then basically the town, our jurisdiction ends right there where it cuts across, right there at the bottom southern, southwestern corner of that MR box, right, that's the end of our jurisdiction. So I totally get it. We want to develop around the rail trail and whatnot. I just don't, it's only a small portion that we would be developing.
What if, we've got that little area that juts in, I'm assuming that's Devonshire, that kind of,
Yeah, that's the
what
Devonshire
if we
North.
drew the line across there? And because, to your point, Craig, that allows for conventional subdivisions along the rail trail. You can see the small subdivision that has the two cul-de-sacs that's already gobbled up in this, that's already a conventional subdivision.
That's Rockbridge.
No, this is,
Oh, wait, where?
Further.
yeah,
Oh,
this
no,
is,
you're right.
this is catty corner to, I
Across from the new Epcot.
It's, starts with an H.
can't think, I'm sorry.
Shire.
Hampshire.
Hampshire. If you were to draw the line across there, it meets everybody's needs. It brings estate residential down further, and then it also leaves a significant chunk of land for conventional subdivision along the rail trail, which actually runs right along the backside of that Hampshire. What's everyone's thoughts on that?
You're saying draw it where the corner
Yeah,
is
where
right
that,
above
where
the
that corner
four?
cuts in, just take that line straight across.
And
yellow,
what, and you would make that lower third?
Conventional
Conventional,
subdivision, and then
continuing the
everything above
yellow.
it estate residential.
My concern is to the west, what's across the street? Are we looking at a multifamily across the street?
Well-
And then we're at estate residential? Because that doesn't flow.
Are you
Can
talking about
we-
Whitestown?
Yes.
It's currently rural, just like, basically, if you look at the map, anything that's got building on it, you can see the roads, they're right on there. They're grayed out, but you can see the roads. That is just a big chunk of rural
I
property.
think I was under the impression something passed to the west.
They are in the process. If it hasn't been approved, they are approving a subdivision right on the other side of where,
So
It's
conventional
going to be
subdivision.
conventional
So
subdivision.
if you want to cut out like where E is and it comes, there's a line for 800 and then you go over to the Hampshire, like increase estate homes in that square, that makes sense to me. But to the left of it, I think we're looking at high density across the street. So this could maybe be where like you and Craig both get your opinions there, because in the west area of 800 East, but maybe north of your cutout for Devonshire, they're going to be staring at high-density housing, from what I'm to understand is happening in Whitestown.
That's-
If I'm wrong, somebody correct me.
It's really actually a great discussion, because that also brings in B and C on this map, and why at least Adam suggested it was
Yeah.
conventional subdivision, is it's
That is
going to
why.
border. The question I have is, as a town, is it our responsibility to create a transition, or is it Whitestown's responsibility? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think Zionsville, that's rural area for me. I would like to see it remain estate residential, and whatever Whitestown's gonna do, they're gonna do. Obviously, that's gonna affect whether or not people want to build a 2 or 3 acre, or house on 2 or 3 acres, but for the most part, if we're trying to create a buffer by putting in conventional subdivisions, why should we be giving up rural land to do that? See what I'm saying? I feel like Zionsville should stand its ground and say, part of what makes this uniquely Zionsville is this rural space. Why give it up just because another town
Yeah.
chooses to put in Cracker Box size
I've
houses?
struggled with the concept that a buffer is what they're doing, if that
Right.
makes sense. So if they're maxed out on density, and then you cross into Zionsville, but you don't know you're in Zionsville because the density feels exactly the same, then there's no difference. It's just it's just an extension of the other community. So I would probably be in favor of maybe removing C and B from conventional, but then making all of D conventional, just because there's gonna have to be conventional housing somewhere. And this map is preserving a lot of rural and farming, which is great, but we know there's gonna be growth, and where's it gonna be? And my understanding is that might even be Lebanon schools.
It's going to be contiguous to.
It's contiguous to where we already are, it flows, I don't see it being rural.
So you bring the conventional subdivision all the way to 800 East? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
I think that
what if
you
we-
guys think Sewer too.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, I mean, what if we, Counselor McElderry's, well, I mean, to all your point, really, I mean, the conventional subdivision maybe from that west boundary to the middle, right in the middle of the E, and then if you wanted rural estate even, maybe you make an L there and you kind of go up, that the larger box on the right there becomes rural and estate, and then just carries up into rural and estate. So you just basically, split it right down the middle, and then where it kind of cuts out just above 400, come over. So you create literally a square right there on the top right of that, the northeast corner of this section. And that northeast corner becomes rural and estate, and your quote-unquote buffer that is in the part that has the letter D in it is your conventional subdivision of 1 to 2.5 units per acre.
That's what I was offering as well. That's when I said, bring the estate down.
The L.
And make your buffer. And also in your buffer, in that L shape, we are having EPCON put in sewer up to the red line where 800 and 400 and MR, that red line, the bottom one. So sewer then is tapped, right? It goes to the next lot when you make your EPCON, they go to the next lot. So it'll already be at 400 west of 800. And then if we have the L shape, then it makes sense for the non-leapfrog continuation of that sewage through there that the developers can bear the cost of. And we still had capacity, from what I understood, to connect to our sewer. But that, I know you think you don't want the buffer, but if we're truly doing a plan for what is going to go there, make it a skinny L if you need to. But I think that is part of what planning is. I mean, you guys are professional planners, and we're not. We're wishful constituent voices. So finding the balance between the two is what this comprehensive plan is supposed to do.
Well, the other reality is these are people own this property, and there are already natural lines of property that also make, like, we can arbitrarily start drawing lines through people's property, and they're like, okay, so now I got 3 different plants. So
Right.
if we're gonna do it, we should probably look at
property lines.
where are the property lines and kind of make sense of this other than just drawing lines through people's property.
Right. So that half the farm isn't conventional and half,
Yeah, it's gonna make it harder for them to figure out how to sell that and develop it.
Is that as clear as mud?
I know. So do you understand these skinny L?
I understand I understand what you're describing, or the geography I think you're describing. I guess I'm not clear on if everyone else is nodding along on that.
To read what I think we have?
Yeah. Save us, Heather.
Clear as mud. Okay. Remove the neighborhood activity center north of 400 South, Area E on the draft map, replace with conventional subdivision. For Area D, revise the map to have the northeast corner and coming down 800 to be rural and estate designation, and the remaining area revised to conventional subdivision.
That's consistent with what I thought.
It doesn't even have to be so wide coming off of 800. It could be per ownership line. If
Well, the nice-
someone doesn't quite get to 800, there's one person who's living there already, it can be pushed to the west.
Yeah, but the nice part about putting on 800 is it's clean, because the road separates the properties. I mean, I don't know, Adam, if you guys,
Yeah, there are instances where we take into account property lines, mostly for if something's already there and we think it's gonna stay, but this is intended to be a little loose where we're more commonly using roadways or geographic features. Just to clarify that, when the activity center going away, am I correct in saying the east half of that becomes the rural and the west half becomes conventional subdivision?
correct.
Okay.
Do you not like that?
No, I'm okay with it.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. You gave us a look. I want to make sure that,
I think from a practicality standpoint, having these little fingers of conventional subdivision that go up north into the rural space and then having rural come down, that's my only concern is, does that just open the door to, someone coming forward saying, oh, this needs to be rezoned because it's this way on the east, it's this way on the west. That's why I was trying to draw a line all the way across, wherever it falls. But I know I'm in the minority on this, so.
I mean, does it make you feel better to give up B and make that rural, since it's not contiguous, it would be?
I'm going to stand pretty firm that I want B and C to become estate residential. I do not, for the life of me, see why we would, that is, once you get above 300 South, that's where I start to stomp my feet. That's where I really genuinely believe we have a chance to preserve a rural way of life in this town. I'm not against development, but I'm just against the type of dense development that conventional subdivision could represent in that area, so. And whatever Whitestown does, they do.
I'm thinking about 300 guys, and really, if you think into the future, that's going to be I mean, it's already kind of a main thoroughfare, and I'm all for rural. I mean, I live in rural. I just wonder if 300 becomes more of a demarcation of the do not cross, and we do preserve that for for the rural folks. But south of 300, it's going to get developed, guys. And I think we're just creating more of a headache for the next group.
Well, and isn't, in time, I mean, it may be another, I feel like we've been talking about this since I moved here 20 years ago, but that is slated at some point to be a 4-lane thoroughfare.
300, yeah.
300.
And I just think about the drive. I mean, when I'm coming from the east, I pass the elementary school, then I pass neighborhoods, then I come into some commercial, then a couple more neighborhoods, and then we want like a big rural space, and then there's neighborhoods further to the west. It just seems kind of weird. And
What
so,
about-
and I'm the same way about Michigan Road. Like,
Yeah.
Michigan Road's gonna get developed, I think 300's gonna get developed at some point, maybe not during our tenure, but I just think those are two key thoroughfares that we need to think about.
I feel like we could separate B and C from not being the same topic, because if you told me you wanted B to be rural, I'd be right there with you. But I feel like C, I mean, the whole advertised purpose of this comp plan was to bring more commercial to our town. And that's where I'm like, do we move the activity center to C? Like, there would be an actual chance to have business in that part of town, and it's tucked against Whitestown, and that's the buffer change to me, like, the whole area of ED, however we want to call that, becomes conventional, but with a rural cutout that will probably switch in 10 years, but keep B rural, but make C the activity center instead of residential. If we're trying to bring commercial to our town, that's the border of our town.
Then I would make it commercial, because otherwise.
That's what I'm
you're gonna
not saying I'm not saying what designation.
Yeah.
But do we flip it to something entirely different? Planners?
It would just look very strange to me to have that as a commercial center, and right in
On
what's now the
C.
middle of nowhere.
But the thing is, on C is where, that's the area, I don't know. I can't speak for Whitestown, but I swear there's building coming right there to the west of that area.
I do think that, living on that side of town, traffic becomes a significant concern. And, the roads, to Counselor Stein's point, not just the east-west, but the north-south getting down to Oak Street and, even over in some of the other intersections closer to the more urban areas of town, it just becomes really, really difficult with traffic. And I think that, one of the reasons, we talk about, whether or not it's going to happen while we're on council or not. I mean, having been on the council for quite some time, oftentimes we get presented with proposals, and it's like, well, we have to deal with it. We have to make the decision, and the next council will have to do the same thing. So I think what we need to do is just focus on, putting our stamp of approval on our vision for the town and where we think it's going to be headed for the next potentially decade. With, again, this as a guidepost, understanding that if the right, if we're attracting commercial development, I can identify a handful of places on here where commercial development would be more attractive because of infrastructure or access to highways or, what have you, than the very rural areas of Zionsville. So,
Yeah, I agree with that.
I would just add real quickly, 300 South, if it does get expanded to 4 lanes, hopefully someday it finally does, there's still driveway after driveway after driveway on it. It's not like Michigan Road, it's not like 32. It's gonna have people pulling out of their driveways every day. To jam in commercial at that point, I think it would be a nightmare. There's a lot of houses along through there, on both sides of the road.
So I need to say one more comment from being on the Plan Commission. Right now, in front of the Plan Commission, we do have a conventional subdivision just south of 300 and east of 800 with approximately 153 homes on 161 acres. And it's a nice project. It's not exactly my vision of what that area is necessarily, but I just think I'd be remiss not to mention that to you as we cast this out on that particular piece, which is the northeast corner that would be deemed the rural and estate residential. So, and it's a multifaceted project, and I know we're getting specific with a project, and I'm gonna back up off that, but I just wanted you to know that as we make this decision today, because I think that's important to know. I know you guys are bouncing back up to B and C with regards to some kind of activity center, but I needed to make that comment, to make that connection with you all, so.
What section is that in? I'm sorry.
The Pulte there,
In a
asking
D?
for a rezone.
It's the E, yeah,
E,
northeast on E. And, yeah, northeast on E.
But isn't that project mostly, wouldn't it be yellow? Would it be okay? They could still move forward?
Yeah, but I think we just determined that we wanted to make that the transitional rural and estate residential.
Wait, is that? If I'm looking at the big
This
map,
whole thing?
Yes.
is it the right corner of 300 and,
Am I right? Yeah, yeah, it's the E,
is it
didn't know if we had to go all the way
within
over.
DE or just outside?
it's to the right of the E.
Closer to 8.
Yeah, that's what I thought,
So to the right of E,
yeah.
800 to 300.
And where's
Yeah.
their project? Is it going over here?
And there's a green, whatever you call that color.
The objection is.
Yes. Well, yeah. So you can get your bearings.
Okay, so Tim, back to you. I'm 100% fine with that becoming, with B becoming rural and estate, if that's what you want. I don't know what other people think, but B, I'm not so sure about C. I'm not sure at all about C.
As you
Because it's on 300, I think that is going to be next to multifamily in Whitestown. I think it's a good buffer. I think, but if you wanna push the rural over into B as a way to at least, try and save the area that already exists as rural, I'm fine with B. I don't know. Is everybody else fine with B and C?
Is there a specific reason B was B to begin with?
Yeah, why is B called B?
Is there something already like slated for that? We
No.
don't know?
No, it was, again, we had discussions with the steering committee back and forth about what you all are debating right now, is do we want to react to the potential development pattern in Whitestown, or, do we want to go our own way? Ultimately, that's B and C are conventional subdivisions because of, I think, what is planned. I'll be honest and say, I'm not sure if the zoning is there in Whitestown or not, but in terms of, we did look at their comprehensive plan and their land use pattern, so that's why I said.
So I propose we flip B to Tim's request of rural and estate. And leave C as yellow.
A lot of people are going to have to sell their property for that to ever be anything other than what it is, which is rural. I don't think they're going to sell anytime soon, so.
Which self-preserves.
I am a little hung up on this change that we already kind of went through, but I guess I was reading it backwards where, particularly now that Craig's brought up that there is a project coming, it seems odd that on the west side of where we're drawing on 800, that's going to be rural up against Whitestown, but then, I mean, it's yellow, and then there's brown rural that gets carved out into this drop-down section.
That's why I was saying, my gut reaction is rural and estate, but what good planning would dictate would say conventional subdivision would be my.
I mean, it
Yes.
just, it's an arbitrary line, like why have this
Yeah.
drop-down of rural when everything else is gonna be developed all the way up to Whitestown as residential?
Yeah, I agree.
That just seems
Yeah.
strange to me.
I mean, I will say, from a planning perspective, I think it's a stronger argument to say up to 300 South, we would expect some amount of development, keeping the actual 300 South frontage rural to try and preserve as much of that character as possible.
Back to what I initially.
Yeah, and then B and C becoming the rural residential.
I'll stick with what I originally said, which was take the estate residential that you see immediately east of that big block, you see it right there between 875 and the block, and just run that across, make that estate residential all the way across, which preserves that rural feel along 300 South, and then south of that is conventional subdivision, which actually is more yellow than what we're proposing right now, but it makes sense east-west to have that line like that.
Is there development already, I just see one little driveway on the west side of, is that 875? Oh, good, much better. Okay. I see one little driveway on the, I think it's 875, am I right?
That's actually a road. Are you talking about the road that comes off of 300 South?
No.
Yeah.
Right at the corner.
Wait, go down a little, that. So there's nothing else besides that one little driveway right there, right now?
Correct.
I think that's a home.
Okay. So you're saying bring the right red line all the way over to 875? Is that what you're saying? And make it yellow?
We need like a pointer.
I know.
Are you saying this?
Yes, yeah, keep that line just straight across.
See where, do you see
So
where?
grow the DE box to the east.
DE would be yellow all the way up to that line that you see.
Where it's already yellow.
Isn't that 875, or am I making that up?
875,
You're giving up some rural.
I'm giving up plenty of rural because I agree exactly with what everybody said. It's gonna happen.
So
But
bring
why
the
have
line
a
over.
finger of estate residential come run down in the middle of it? It doesn't make any sense to me.
I think we thought you wanted it.
Well, he just wants
Well,
to.
if I could have all the state residential, I'd take it, but I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
think that's gonna.
Okay, so bring the thing across the top
Yeah.
and keep C the way it is, but change B to rural and estate.
You want C,
Change
I
C
would
as
like
well.
C to be estate residential. I want anything north of 300 South to remain estate residential.
I mean, I'm fine with giving B up. I'm torn on C. I think you're gonna be looking at high density.
Is there, even if we do, someone could come forward and say, I want to put a PUD there, I got a cool idea.
Yeah.
And they can do it on.
They can still come
they
and
can already do
propose it. I'm just saying, right now it's rural. Those are all little houses all along there. You don't see their driveways, but those are all houses and some fields, and just
I
leave
think
it.
the only reason I was like pushing back at all, because I really,
Yeah.
like you said, if
Th-
people are gonna
this
live there
little
forever,
bit
it
should
doesn't
be
matter
rural.
that much.
This is all conventional.
But I'm kind of
rural.
trying to honor the process that people went through working on
but-
this that aren't,
People came, I went to a lot of public input sessions. Everybody asked for that to be rural. I don't remember anyone at any of the sessions I was at that said, boy, that needs to be conventional subdivision. I don't think,
that's where my comment was that we've got the wishes and then we've got the paid planner. And it's that, I just want to make sure we're hitting the right balance, that we're not going to say, yeah, it's a state residential, and then we have someone
Well, it's
That's why I
truly
was
an
like,
island.
what makes the planner put it there?
If we're gonna call something leapfrog, this is by definition,
Oh, I believe
Leapfrog.
B is a leapfrog. I
Yeah.
agree with you.
well, as is C. If we have a state residential to the south, to the east,
Keep in mind, C is gonna be like the largest east and west corridor coming through rural Zionsville.
right?
I mean, they've upgraded the bridge, it's coming. And that's the pathway all the way to I-65, east and west.
And that's what the buffer is for.
But it's a little island, why wouldn't you then suggest conventional subdivision all the way?
I thought we just connected with the L up to C. So maybe that's where the disconnect between you and I are. I thought we connected the L up to C. No.
I'm sorry, I
Okay.
didn't think we did either. I thought
Okay.
this right here remains.
And is that so we can expand the road eventually?
And I mean, most of that frontage on the south side of 300 South has already been subdivided. There's homes there
Okay.
for the most part. And again, trying to preserve the character of that roadway, even if development happens, there may be some access onto it, but the frontage being largely
Okay,
the rural estates or, you know, wooded areas.
Adam,
Some
can,
floodplain there too, so you're not gonna be able to have contiguous development.
Adam, can I ask you because we are almost an hour in and
Yep.
we're on number 2. And I've got it, guys, I have a real, I've got work.
I understand.
I gotta go to work. Could you live with D and E becoming conventional subdivisions altogether and changing B and C to estate residential?
Yes, very much.
Very much, you could? That's my proposal. I'm sticking to
Can we
it.
keep the bifurcation where he's got it drawn? Can we
Between rural,
protect the rural feel of 300 South all the way through?
Right on that line.
just on the northern boundary?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't care about that.
That's what I've asked for from the very beginning.
Wait, so it's just,
So we're literally, but that's how it's marked on the map, right?
No, right now, that orange goes up into that space, so we're just saying what should be the line between conventional subdivision?
It barely goes up into the.
Right here.
Yeah,
northeast corner. Where's the aligning to the boundary of 300.
I've scribbled on my map too
Yeah.
much.
Sorry,
But-
I've been looking at a big rural estate sliver right there this whole time, so I don't,
So right here. he's
There is a
saying lower
rural
this.
estate sliver. I believe Counselor McAlery is saying make it slightly larger to align with this
Existing.
point right here.
yep.
And the south of that line will become conventional subdivision. The little bit north of that line that is presently mixed residential will become rural. And then B and C will become rural residential.
okay,
That
done.
can- that's
Just, let's get this done, please.
Okay.
I've been
you,
working
everyone.
on this for 2 years, guys. We gotta pick it up.
All right, so.
Let's go to 3.
Three, area A. I left it over there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the Fayette Regional Activity Center. I'm completely agnostic to this, so I'll open it up to anyone else who wants to either do something with it.
I think we need something out there, but, this logically makes sense with regards to the road coming straight out. I'd like to really see I think we talked about in the transportation plan, part of this, a street going completely to the west through that A.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard anybody tell me, I hate it, I love it. Nobody, unfortunately, that's the response I've gotten. Trying to plan this area has been a challenge, just based on, it's kind of a leave me alone area the last 4 years I've been in office, on the town council. And that's what we've done, we've left them alone, so,
Where does the Ronald Reagan show up in regards to A?
it looks like,
comes-
it cuts.
Will
to-
it cut through it?
It comes in,
Comes in
right now,
MRMF,
It comes
right?
in and hits,
It curls around it, so it's just,
Yes.
no, on a,
oh, it's up here.
It's
I'm
north
sorry.
of that, just north of that.
Yeah, no, I'm
comes in
way off.
right
It's
there
at
and then curls
550.
down to about the T in Whitestown Parkway.
So it's not anywhere near that?
Near subject.
Well,
Yeah,
okay,
it's
there we go.
near.
It curls down. Where's the fire station?
Right,
The new one?
it's gonna be left of what he just Xed, if I recall.
So on the left side of A or in the green?
North and west, right, Evan?
Is it in the orange?
I think it's in the yellow, or
I thought it was right.
Purple.
Yeah, I
It's in
thought
the
it was,
purple.
yeah.
So is the A, all we're discussing is should that remain as a mixed residential?
As a regional activity
Regional
center.
Activity Center.
So this is the intersection of Whitestown Parkway and State Road 267.
If the owners of that property have not come forward to complain about it, I think we leave it there. Again, we're not going out and building a gas station tomorrow. It's just, if you're gonna put
And we've
business,
already
put it
taken
here.
out apartments.
Correct.
Yeah. I'm good with it. Anyone else? Leave it in. Is anyone wanting it out? Who wants
I
it
guess,
out?
well, the only question I have about it, if you're talking about commercial development, and I know this is Craig's space, and we've talked about, this is a place for commercial development. Right now, you've got as primary uses, which mostly look like commercial. As soon as a secondary use is single-family detached dwelling, that's what you're going to get. Someone will come in there quickly to develop a neighborhood, and you're not going to get retail and a hotel. That's not gonna happen. So if that's what you really want, then I think you take out all the secondary uses for now and really try to focus this on a commercial opportunity for the town.
So is there a different name that it should be, like commercial?
Probably.
Can we change that to commercial?
What do you think, Craig? Because you're just gonna get homes.
I think you've defined this, though, as primary uses and secondary uses, and you as council and you as plan commission will have to stand true to what are listed as primary versus secondary. And if you get proposals that are all secondary uses, you have grounds to say, no, that's not the primary intent here. You're gonna have to stand firm. This is the right way to do the planning here of showing a mixing of uses in these areas versus the traditional highway-oriented commercial uses. If you ask for that, you're going to get drive-through. If you ask for commercial here, you're gonna get drive-throughs, you're gonna get fast food, you're gonna get the things you don't want. If you call it neighborhood activity center, you're going to get a better character development that fits what you guys have asked for throughout this process.
Oh, is it right now a regional activity center versus a neighborhood activity center?
It's regional.
It's
Okay.
regional.
So,
I guess I've just not seen us stand, I mean, in 6 years, 90-some%, if it's in a secondary use, it's getting approved. And I think that projects come forward and it's viewed as I haven't seen us say, well, it's not primary, I know it's secondary, but we're gonna go ahead and just say no.
is there a way to call it something else, redefine it, a third type of activity center that doesn't include housing? Can we make one up? Can we call it business activity center instead of just commercial? I don't know.
I do want to also just admit that the planning commission has forwarded this to us, correct? So 2 of the planning commissioners do sit in Perry Township as well. So
They didn't complain.
just casting that out as somebody else to
I say we leave
lean
it.
into on that.
I say we leave it or redefine what kind of activity center with no housing. I think that's the simplest way to move on to the next point.
I'm okay with it given this spot, but I do believe that in other locations, I do have a concern about secondary use language being tightened. Because this is only one example where, because we're gonna get up to 420, when I got a whole different view of that.
Is there language we can write about the primary and secondary use that says, just because it's a secondary use doesn't mean it's acceptable?
I think it should be
For this
commercial,
spot.
if that's what you want it to be. If you don't want it to have any housing, just move it to commercial. If that's your push, I don't care what it is. I mean, I care, but I don't have a
variance or.
problem with what it is.
It's already says primary uses, retail, restaurant, I mean, that's what you're going to get there.
So what's wrong with that? Do you
Nothing.
not want that there?
Nothing, but when we said we could move it to commercial, it's like you're gonna get fast food and all this, I mean, that's kind of already same thing as primary use.
I'm comparing the commercial and, oh, that's office. Commercial, do you want office and innovation?
No. I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we just keep it regional.
Yeah, I think we keep it regional or commercial, that's your choices.
It's fine, but I'm just saying, I'm going to tighten the language around regional activity centers in a minute.
Okay.
And it's gonna screw up what you're trying to do here. So I'm just prepping you.
Listen, the primary uses in regional activity center is commercial. So if that's what you want, that's what you should propose. Read them, they're identical. So just make it a commercial. Because secondary uses are community facilities, religious, so it could be a church, or park and open space. I think that's where you want this to be, commercial. It covers your secondary uses. And then they can go get a zoning variance on if they want to bring a restaurant, or no, the restaurant is in there. I don't see what else it would be. If they want to make it apartments, they have to come.
So are we removing regional activity center and replacing with commercial?
As a planner, do you like that?
No. I do, I will say, I like, again, so much of this is a balance of, right, predictability and flexibility, and, you know, do you want it, does the map make it easier for you to say yes to a good project and no to a bad one? The map and other content in the plan, right? I like the flexibility that the activity center affords you to allow someone to propose commercial uses, but also the potential for some residential use that would help support that commercial. Again, I think what we heard through this process is folks don't want more of the traditional auto-oriented Whitestown Parkway, Michigan Road, or South 421 corridor, and the opportunity to better mix some of this, connected, and over here build out a trail network, so that surrounding residential development is connected through bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure to these admittedly primarily commercial areas, but afford some flexibility. To Corey's point, it comes back to, are you comfortable saying, look, what you're proposing is more of the secondary uses that we think should be secondary, either meaning a smaller percentage or following the primary uses? So we want to make sure the commercial square footage is there first before we would consider the housing.
It is.
Yeah, again, I'm not opposed at all that homes could go in there. What I'm trying to carve out is, there's a lot of data in here. Zionsville's commercial development percentage is 3%. Carmel's is 19. Fisher's is 21. Whitestown is 30. We are so far from where we need to be in terms of balancing our tax revenue that it's becoming a real burden to manage the town. And we have to carve out on this map, where are we going to put commercial development? And we have to put a stake in the ground and to some degree protect it. And if we say this is going to be commercial, or it could be something else, my gut instinct is there's a fear that it will be something else, and then we're never going to get, I know they even said, like, if everything were optimized, we could get to 13 to 15%. But I don't even see it as optimized because there are options already, meaning optimization would mean everywhere where there's a potential for commercial, it becomes commercial and not the other. That's not going to happen. In fact, I see it as the opposite. So we could be at, maybe we get to 6 or 7% commercial development in terms of AV. That's not enough to sustain the town. So we have to say, where are we going to have commercial? If this is where it needs to be, and I'm not saying we shouldn't have homes there. I'm just saying there's only certain places where there's truly going to be high AV opportunities for us to balance our portfolio. And if we don't protect that, there's nowhere else to go. We're not going to Tim's point, we're not going to put it in the middle of rural Zionsville. There's only, you got 32, you got 421, and you got the Reagan. That's kind of where you're going to get commercial development of any real scale. And if we missed an opportunity here, whoever's trying to balance the books 5, 10 years from now, they're going to be strapped for cash.
I will just point out, and I'm not trying to be argumentative, there is a, you know, this is not a small area. I want to point out, like, look at this as compared to how big the village is.
right.
So there's a decent amount of acreage here where I think if, to say it's all going to be commercial may be a bit of a challenge as well, just from a market absorption standpoint.
Brad, I just want to mention that, you know, you mentioned some busy roads. Well, this is the busiest intersection. No document to support that, but in that area by far. I mean, 267, Whitestown Parkway, that's a very busy intersection in Perry Township. So the caveat to that is it is a very low lying ground, so I'm not sure how it can develop exactly without some intense infrastructure for drainage and things of that nature. So it likely will have to be funded very well in the future as well, from a commercial standpoint. And usually, I think those commercial uses have more money to bring to develop, rather than just a
I just want to be careful we
residential.
don't cut off our leg for opportunity for commercial, which is why when we get to 421 and 32, there's no better location in this entire town of Zionsville for potential AV commercial use than that corner. And if we come back with this RAC, which is the way it's written now, and that's why I'm going to bring it up later, and there's potential for family homes in that corner, not going to happen. Can't happen. We're throwing away the opportunity for commercial development in this community, and we shouldn't do it there. Now, I'm going to change the definition there. I'm going to propose that we do it. Does it impact this one? I don't know. I'm less concerned about this one, but I also believe Perry does have opportunities for significant AV for us. That's not residential.
I don't know that there's anything wrong with us writing a stronger emphasis on the commercial component of these regional activity centers and making that more of an emphasis of that. Because that's the intent of what we've been
Yes.
trying to do all the way along.
Right.
So if that addresses the concern, I feel like that's a very doable component of this. All we're asking in that, by calling it an activity center instead of just commercial, is saying, let's do the development in a thoughtful way that mixes with its surroundings instead of just dropping that commercial space in there without integrating it into the development that's around it.
Yeah, I think the sweet spot is just getting what you really want. If that's the vision of the community, and then let's make sure that the language gets you what you want, as opposed to some real wriggle room to get something you really don't want, even though it's kind of acceptable, it's kind of viewed as acceptable use, but it's not really what you want. And I don't know how to manage that other than to your point of saying no sometimes to those projects, and we haven't always done that.
What I guess I'm suggesting, to see if we can move on with this then, is keep the regional activity center at item A. Let's redefine some of that secondary use language to make sure that that does not become the primary. And then let's put more of an emphasis on the commercial in that narrative for that activity center.
Yeah, let's do that. That may not be the same fix for up north, but it's an okay fix here.
Okay.
I think we got 3 and 4 done,
Yes, 4's done.
so we're at 5.
Yep.
Wait, correct me if I'm wrong, part of 4, area G,
Area G,
Oh,
well,
G.
you're right.
this was discussed at the council meeting back in February, so, I've completely obscured it with the annotation. The area under G is the yellow conventional subdivision right now. The recommendation is to change that to rural and estate residential.
Yeah, my take on it was, what is immediately north of is Country Wood. Country Wood is a subdivision where the minimum lot size is about an acre.
You mean south?
Did I say, I'm sorry.
No.
Immediately south
where?
Yeah.
of G is Country Wood.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure.
Did I say north? I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Immediately north is the G, and then south is Country Wood, and that's why I was suggesting estate residential. My preference would have been that was estate residential all the way across, getting back to my east-west comments. Unfortunately, the county allowed for Union Woodlands to go in there, so we've got yellow already on the map for sure. Question is, how far do we extend the yellow to the west? Does that make sense? That is right now just open ag space. It is zoned ag, it is very rural.
What's it right now under the G? Is it yellow?
Yes.
I think it stays yellow for the same argument that we just made on the west side. Inconsistent, like cutouts. We just said the CSDERR section. That section, we just said, take it straight across. I think it's the same thing. You just take it straight across.
I agree.
Rather than cut down.
It's yellow. I suggested it become
I mean,
residential.
in our comprehensive plan, there's 222 pages. There's 200 of them that are words, and one line says, look to infill and keep consistent development. And to me, that's a consistent thing, not a, I mean, I totally understand everybody wanting to keep rural. I'm not saying that it's bad to have rural. I love that we have that unique part of us, but
There has to be kind of a transition likely too between your 421 projects as they move to the east. And is that transition gonna be rural estate lots?
back to
Then we go
conventional.
back to conventional?
Yeah.
So I think ultimately, I think Sarah, you have a good point with some conventional subdivision kind of coming out. And it's not even a buffer, it's just, it's the same thing that's already existing, and then it comes to the backside of
The infill.
whatever the Michigan Road overlay allows.
Is there a project being
Yes.
considered already in that space?
I'm gonna probably, Heather, where are our bounds?
I would
We currently have an approval for a project in this area
From the plan.
from the planning commission that's coming up. And so are we allowed to talk about all this then? And
You can talk about it, you can't say how you're gonna vote, but if you, I mean, if you're, it's just like the other projects we've, like, yeah, discussed. Is
I
that
just
what
wanna
you're
make,
talking
yeah,
about?
I just wanna
yeah.
make sure before we get into
Yeah.
that topic. And
I know we talked about
the
multi.
petitioner's here anyway, so he can't act like we talked about it behind his back, so.
Well, and I'll just note, it probably makes sense to have this conversation in conjunction with Area F. That's, is that number 5 maybe? That was recommended to move away from the mixed residential classification there along 421. So I just don't want to try and get a resolution on G and then revisit it on F with the next point.
I think F, having spoken to the residents in that area, they understand that there needs to be commercial somewhere in this town to get to Brad's point in terms of balancing our tax base. They just don't want townhomes right there. And right now, as it's designated as mixed residential, that would allow for townhomes.
I've spoken to some people up in that area, and there was a request, I guess almost in like a acceptance of development, a request for some sort of buffering that could make its own transition in that area so that they're not staring at development. I don't know if that was something we could propose.
Like putting commercial, truly?
Well, the commercial is there, but it's even some sort of like mound that has been on other commercials, development, just to push back from the rural. For that to be the transition piece would be some landscaping or,
Behind the commercial?
along 421.
To
So
block
that-
the,
I
to
don't know
block
what
the
business owner
commercial?
would
To-
want a big mound in front of their business, though.
That's
that'd be
just,
tough.
I'm just telling you what someone contacted me asking.
I mean, single-story commercial along Michigan Road makes sense, and it's a place, to Brad's point, we need to look at our thoroughfares and figure out where we can put some commercial and get commercial AV. We just don't want 3-story townhomes in that area, because those people all on that west side, and that, Brad, that's your district, but they're all looking straight across at that, and a single story is doable.
What would be your proposal for it to be if it wasn't mixed residential? Because I know you don't like the townhouse.
That's a
Would
good
it be yellow, or would it be truly a commercial red carve-out along the front and then split the back?
Well, what's the Michigan overlay? What's it suggested it should be?
Campus housing.
Which is also single-story, by the way, interestingly enough. Campus housing is not supposed to be high-rises.
I think
Is
it's
that
because of the
defined?
airport.
What's that?
I think that that may have also just been because it's so close to the airport.
Yeah.
Is that defined as campus housing somewhere in our zoning?
I
That's what I
think
wonder. Some of
just the
this gets us
overlay.
into some of the problems is the definitions.
The current comp plan has an amendment that's got the airport overlay, and I'm pretty sure that section is called campus housing. And there's a definition for campus housing.
Yeah, that's-
But I believe there's a height piece in there. I think it's 2 stories. I could be wrong.
Or is it feet?
It's feet, it's not, yeah, it's a foot.
I felt like 35 was the,
Yeah, it's a height limitation. I
It's
don't
height.
remember if it's stories or
Yeah,
feet, but that was more of trying to keep it relatively low density
Yeah.
in those areas, just because of, that's a critical place with air flight,
Yeah, that's what,
overflight there.
I don't remember
So you
the-
don't want to have
yeah.
a lot of activity. Commercial is a good use on those sites from that standpoint. You can include recommendations for, keeping it mostly low-rise, single-story stuff. That is certainly feasible there.
yeah, and again, I think it was enough that something 2 stories could have gone in, but like not super, peaked.
Yeah.
Yeah, like something kind of flat. So that was the intent, if I remember. I mean, we voted on it in a few years.
Should we be asking you guys? You're here for a reason. Do you want to come up, Roger, and tell us what campus housing? No. Would you please come up here and tell
Real
us?
quick before he does, how tall, I remember the barn
Yeah,
north of 200.
and they lowered it. It was 70 and it went to 50, or?
That's not 2
And then
stories.
35 jumps in my head. It's 50 or 35. You would be able to maybe answer? What's the height?
This area, again, you're pulling some information from the airport land use study that was adopted back in '22, and it did identify frontage along Michigan Road as campus housing, which included some limitations. I think it was either two stories, I think was the max. I'm not sure it had an actual footage identified, but it was suggesting maximum height of 2 stories. I will tell you that a previous development plan has been approved for the southeast corner of 200 South and Michigan Road for the Hopwood Winery, which is still being pursued.
Where's that line?
What's their height? Oh, sorry.
Pardon me?
No, just trying to figure out, like, how far, is it right on 200?
It's got that barn on
It-
200.
Yes, it is truly the southeast corner of that intersection.
That really
Okay.
pretty brown barn.
Yeah, as part of the
Okay.
development.
So in my mind, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm trying to keep all the documents that exist once we vote on this. Does the Michigan overlay go away when we approve this? Because I only saw 2 things listed that don't go away, being the 2016 and the 5-year park. So does that make the Michigan overlay go away?
No, it does not, because the Michigan Road overlay, whether we're talking about the rural or the urban sections of the Michigan Road overlay, that's within the zoning ordinance.
Yeah, the Michigan overlay is a zoning classification. What you're talking about is the airport comprehensive plan. Does that go away?
Does that go
Yes.
away?
Yes, it
That's
would.
what I'm saying,
Yes.
yeah, I'm
Yes.
sorry, worded it wrong.
Yeah.
So, zoning wise, can you tell me what height, if you need a minute to look it up, but what height is going to remain for campus housing qualifications?
And campus housing is part of the airport
Oh.
land use.
That goes away.
Okay, so
That would go away.
part of the zoning, what would the height be?
The zoning district is going to establish what permitted height is there. And I believe that area is currently zoned ag. So I'm thinking is maximum height, I want to say 35 feet.
I felt like 35 was sticking out in my mind. But where were we getting a 50-foot barn? Did that pass, or did they lower it to 35 for Watchus Farm?
They lowered that,
They lowered it.
yeah.
I guess the question is, what do people want to have there? I mean, if it truly is, let's put some residential in there, that's okay. If it's gonna be not so tall, I think that's a different question of, townhome heights. If it truly is, we wanna protect the commercial up front, sounds like that kinda, it's not gonna be protected in current zoning now, because it's already ag. So I think if you want some commercial there, you're gonna have to figure out how to spell that out.
Because with the Michigan overlay, pretty much dictates that you can have commercial in those specific areas, correct?
I'm going to defer to Roger. It would still need to be approved in the underlying district, I would think.
With the Michigan overlay, explain how that interface works then. When you have underlying zoning, but you have the Michigan overlay on top, what takes preferential authority in terms of calling out for commercial use? Does that make sense? Like if doesn't it go 400 feet or so?
Yes, the boundaries of the Michigan Road overlay are 400 feet on both sides of Michigan Road from the right-of-way. The way you identify what uses would be permitted within the Michigan Road overlay, you first defer to the underlying zoning classification, but then within the Michigan Road overlay, there are a list of excluded uses. So even though a use may be permitted in the underlying zoning district, if it is excluded from the Michigan Road overlay, it is not going to be permitted then.
So it's more restrictive
Yes.
than permissive?
Yes.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Would this be, I'll just throw it out there, sliver of red that runs along Michigan Road that is the Michigan overlay, commercial, right? And then behind it, estate residential where that line, where G comes across, and conventional subdivision below that. And just the red, it just runs along Michigan Road to the extent that wherever the Michigan Road, 400 feet, is that what you're saying? That remains commercial.
Kind of like 146.
Kind of like just beneath 146th Street with Appaloosa. Is that?
Shops at Appaloosa, is that,
I'm sorry?
are you referring to?
Yeah, that
shops?
same idea there,
Yeah.
just a sliver of red that's 400 feet, that is the Michigan Road overlay, and then behind it would be estate residential on the northern part to where G comes across, and then conventional subdivision where G comes across. Do you see, does that make sense, Adam? Yes, yes, there you go. Thoughts, council?
I didn't follow what you just did.
I
Look at the
definitely,
map.
Yeah, I am.
He's doing it right up
I
there.
am.
What he's saying is you preserve the frontage, which would be commercial, which even the current development that's coming forward says that would be commercial up front.
Yeah, but I'm trying to figure out what we're
And then it
changing.
says behind the commercial, although instead of calling it, kind of hoping that it develops, it specifically, look at, if you drop down to where Appaloosa is, you can see it's the same thing, where you have red and then orange behind it.
Right.
So it would be that. The only difference is,
Yellow.
Tim is suggesting that from 200, you don't go all the way to 200, you drop it down to where G comes across, and then that's preserved as,
It's all yellow. It would all be yellow.
all the way up to 200?
No. Look at what he's done there. See
No,
the
no, no,
arrows?
I'm just saying, you're suggesting it comes across here, and this is yellow,
Yeah, correct,
but then up here's brown.
correct.
So that's what he just threw on the table for commentary. I do like the commercial protection up front, but I think it's already built into the plan that's already coming, it just,
It is, but we just
It tightens it
acknowledge
up.
Yeah.
and then you still have you still have residential behind there. I'm okay with that as well, I just don't know how far you have to go up to 200.
But if the Hopwood area
It would fall in
is
that red.
ag, commercial,
But it's in that red, so it's a business. It would be a.
I wasn't sure if it was. Is it a business?
I mean, it's a
He has the
business,
answer.
it's a business, but I believe it's currently zoned as agriculture.
But isn't it ComAg, or does that fall in?
The zoning for that area is ag, but they've received different use variances for the proposed events, winery and event center.
Well, I more mean, if we're changing it to commercial, does it fall in the type of commercial? Because right now, commercial is retail, restaurant, hotel, professional office, medical office, and personal services. That doesn't sound like,
It wouldn't change their zoning.
No, I mean, essentially, if they've received those approvals, you can change this map to whatever you want, it doesn't
well, it's the same
retroactively.
thing with what I think you're trying to do. That vote will come before this is approved. So if you're just doing it to block the current,
No, I'm not
Thing.
blocking anything. I'm trying to align it with the Michigan Road overlay, the fact that it's already ag. And we just drew a line across there of yellow, with G becoming yellow. Why not just take that all the way across and leave that top part?
is this just to block townhomes? Is that the only thing it takes out?
I don't know what's north of there, Tim, like.
I'm totally, could I?
Let's make it a lane. What do you mean?
I'm totally fine with taking the north, with drawing the line and going north and making that a rural estate on 200 and keeping 200 rural estate.
Yeah.
I guess the question is I don't necessarily like the idea because we talked about the purpose of the red was just to show existing commercial, right?
I mean,
I
yes,
mean, you tell me.
that's what we were trying to do with the land use plan was identify existing commercial areas as the commercial, and that most new commercial would be within either the neighborhood or regional activity center, or potentially as a supporting use in the office and innovation or other industrial spaces, or areas, excuse me. That being said, I mean, there's obviously the precedent immediately south of this. I'll say, through the process and in creating this, we wanted to be careful not to just line 421 with commercial development. Like, I understand that it is an opportunity to create AV for the town. At the same time, I think we want to be very careful that it doesn't just become what it
Yeah,
is
I mean,
further south.
Yeah, that
lose
can
your
be equally
uniqueness.
as hideous, if not more hideous, than homes.
I actually think that is our uniqueness, is that you drive along the highway and you still see, you don't have to live there to enjoy the rural view. So,
What do you think about? Again, I'm fine with taking it off of 200. It's about what do we do with the far southern sections, south of that. And this puts us in a weird trick box because of the current proposal. I mean, you tell me if I'm,
And I'll be honest, I don't know the specifics of the current proposal.
and that's fine. And
probably better.
when, to keep this moving, I'm fine with whatever everyone wants to do. I'm still,
I guess just a real quick clarification on whether it's commercial up front or not. And even in the current proposal, it's commercial. As I understand, the overlay district puts commercial there as a priority anyway. So I don't know that we can stop commercial development along the Michigan Road. Anyway, that's what's kind of encouraged to be there through zoning.
I think we just went through that, and I don't think that that's necessarily the
Yeah,
case.
again, you can interrupt me. The overlay, what the overlay says is if something gets rezoned to commercial, we want to make sure it's not some really unattractive or like intense
It's
commercial that isn't appropriate.
It's limiting.
So
But that still stands.
Yes, and that still stands, but it's not calling for commercial anywhere that there already isn't commercial.
It
It's
still
just
needs to
limiting.
be
If you bring
rezoned to
commercial,
commercial.
it makes it even finer what you can do there versus what you could do on like 32, for example, or something like that.
So right now, under G is yellow.
Yes.
Okay. I think I like this area as is. I don't care if you want to take a small portion out of the circle that says E, no, F?
F, excuse me.
To make, I mean, I don't care. But I think we're trying to get businesses. This isn't, we have to remember, that's what has been advertised for this, is trying to bring commercial to our town. So every time we start saying, well, no, I don't want commercial here, I don't want commercial there, and I don't want commercial there, do we hear
I'm
ourselves?
confused. I just suggested commercial all along Michigan Road. What are you
Well,
saying?
where it extends.
You want commercial to go back into that rural property? Why would you want commercial back?
Well, no, I'm just saying it's already there. So you're just saying bring the olive green toward 421
Yes.
for F? Is that what you wanted?
Yeah, what he just drew up there is what I'm suggesting.
Yeah, and I said I'm fine with that. But I'm not fine with changing G.
I'm not changing G.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead, Heather, sorry.
So I just want to make sure. So I think there's consensus, I'm hearing consensus, that people don't want to change that little sliver along 421 to commercial, right? We're going to leave it as is for rural estate, which is what it currently.
No.
It's commercial all along there.
The orange, keeping the orange.
Well, so the orange is mixed residential.
Yeah, okay.
So if we want a stronger emphasis on commercial in this area, I think we need to make a change to the map to include that commercial. So whether that is the 400-foot, to a depth of 400 feet all along that trapezoid that is F. I will say, so Hopwood's in there, the driving range is immediately south of Hopwood, I correct? So again, I think agricultural zoning, but there's certainly a commercial activity there.
Yeah, there's already,
So if, I mean, we can either do what we drew, or if this is one, if you want us to walk away again, I don't want to leave too much ambiguity, but if you want us to dig into where the parcel lines are a little bit more, we
let's do that.
can.
Let's stick into the parcel lines. Let's keep it sounds like there's consensus to keep it off of 200, and then let's just touch base.
Got it. And if I dig into it and need to make two versions, I'll make two versions and we can.
Perfect.
And just, again, for the third time for me, even if we make it orange or red or whatever that is for
Yep.
commercial, the overlay district still protects the types of
Yes,
stuff we don't want there.
Yes.
It's still protected, even though we say commercial doesn't open it up.
very much.
Okay, awesome.
Not to drag this out, but the only thing that I would add in is the Watchus Farm area does have a little commercial segment on the northeast corner of that intersection.
That's mixed
And
residential.
that's one of the numbers
Oh,
I was
mixed,
trying to
yeah,
go
yeah,
over.
sorry.
It's already mixed residential.
Gotcha.
Very good. Okay. 4, 5, 6, remove density ranges. So I mean, that takes care of the future land use map, right? We don't need that anymore, do we?
Correct.
Can we start going through some of these? Because again, now that we've got the future land use map, at least we've got direction. I'm not gonna say consensus, but we have direction. Can we start breezing through the remainder of this list?
With the exception of, I know we didn't mark it on here as a number, but that 421 RAC up there, it's got to be tightened up on 421 to 32. We've got some even striped lines where you're kind of allowing mixed residential right up against regional activity center, and then you got regional activity center. Again, maybe you tighten the language we already did over in Perry, where it's, we really want to prioritize development that's not homes.
I wanna say right now to this council, I wanna leave as much opportunity in that entire area as we can. And if we need to tighten it to not put multifamily, great, but I would not get too restrictive.
No, I hear
I
you.
think there's gonna be a ton of opportunity, and we will shoot ourselves in the foot by being picky and restrictive on it. So if we
I'm not saying that. I'm saying when I say restrictive, I mean, like, if you look at this section north of Carpenter, right to the left, there's like a stripe where it's like purple and orange.
Yeah.
I say orange goes out and it's just purple, or whatever that is, whatever that category is.
Oh, got it.
Okay.
So you say take out mixed residential entirely and put in office and innovation?
Because you got a striped line there. It's like you're okay with either one.
Oh, you're talking about the north side of 32?
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about the red,
He's talking about the northwest
Northwest.
side of 32.
Yeah.
northwest, got it.
And there's
I
also a
was talking
neighborhood
about
activity
southeast.
center right there too, little pink, little bubble.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to,
Yes, and you also have a neighborhood activity center right there on 32. I say that's all, as much as we can protect to try to develop some really nice commercial opportunity on 32. When I say commercial, I mean office and innovation.
yeah, so you would like the northwest corner of, I don't want to break it. 32 and 421 where, so right at the corner is an extension of the Regional Activity Center, but then to the north and west of that, where it is striped, you want to remove the orange, which is the mixed residential from that area, and also remove the neighborhood activity center that is on the north side of 32 at that 9.
I'm just throwing it out as something, again, it trims a little bit of residential opportunity up there. We've put lots of other residential opportunities in other places. I would just like to really take a first real swing at 32 by the airport to be as much, that's where we're gonna get that AV that we're all looking for, or hopefully. No, I just thought it was strange, it was striped, because it's like, let's just, what do we want it to be?
So do you want it to be a regional activity center?
No. Yeah.
I was going to say, is there any reason we wouldn't have the similarities between Office and Innovation and Employment Flex? Is there any reason why we wouldn't maybe look to Employment Flex on that northwest corner?
Employment Flex, my understanding, was supposed to be more industrial, logistics, transportation. Office and Innovation is a step up, and because of the road restrictions in the area, we chose to keep Office and Innovation in this area. Employment Flex is more of like what you see in Whitestown. And so just the truck traffic in and of itself, we've talked to multiple people about this, and so Employment Flex, we were highly recommended not to do Employment Flex for all the reasons we talked about.
That's fair, yep.
Because we can't handle truck traffic.
Well, I'm just thinking if we're starting to remove some of the other uses, I was just looking
Yeah.
for a alternate opportunity there, but.
I mean, Office and Innovation fits there.
I'm fine with
I think
that.
it makes,
Just take it all the way over to 421.
I guess the other question, Adam, that I would have, and I'm fine with taking that all the way over to 421, the neighborhood activity center that's there that lists retail, restaurant, professional office, that kind of stuff. Is that typically what you would do so that you have, I mean, this may sound very elementary, but do you put that there so people have a place to eat? Yeah. That's it?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I mean, even within the Office and Industrial, or Office and Innovation, excuse me, land use classification, we do list like retail, restaurant, service businesses as supporting uses, because they may be integrated in there. That neighborhood activity center on 32 has moved around a little bit. And again, it being a high-traffic corridor, that's why it's there. If, again, if the emphasis is on more employment-based uses and there's a concern that that sticks out,
I mean, Jason, we already have the Regional Activity Center right there.
to the east.
And that's retail, restaurant, hotel.
Yeah, I was just asking if that's why it was there. Yeah.
In a previous version of this map, we did have some additional residential, mixed residential development along the 32 corridor that went away. And again, this was moved as part of that recommendation. But if you want it to go at this point, I don't think it is has a tremendous negative impact. Okay.
Can I throw something in real quick? I will be doing a disservice to my constituents if I don't bring it up. It's the Office and Innovation on the east side of the airport runway, below 100 South. So you see the purple, you got it right there. That is as rural as can be. It is nothing but horse farms. The Westfield land use, which is immediately adjacent to the east, is ag. That's what they've got as land use for Westfield's comprehensive plan. I'm just wondering, could we look at, we've been moving east-west and we've been drawing lines that are, running continuously across. That seems like that should remain rural estate residential to me as opposed to Office and Innovation. And I just wanted to throw it out there. I know Evan's heard from that group as well.
yeah, thanks for reminding me about that, because that was an important piece. Now what I don't want to do, Adam, would you be able to do some research and to see what, and I don't want Westfield's plan dictating what we're gonna do, but do you know why you brought Office and Innovation so far south? Is it the airport property? Does the airport runway end? Obviously, it ends right about
I
there.
mean, the runway ends right here.
Okay. Do you remember why you
I'll
brought it
have
down?
to go back and look.
I think part of it is the scale of that if you look at that purple area south of 32 as a whole, seems like that's about 400 acres, which is a really nice size to do an Office and Innovation district in that area. If you cut that in half, now it's only a couple hundred acres. It doesn't give you much flexibility. This is a scale issue that if you want to do that, part of the issue is you've got this crosswind runway in the middle that creates a no-build zone without some implications, and that's, we can debate that for hours, but that does limit you. So it's a scale thing, that you cut that out, and it's not nearly as attractive of a space for that type of office and innovation.
I think we should check with the airport, because I thought they were going to be removing the cross.
That's what, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you interrupt me.
That's why we've hatched that area.
I think that's why it went lower, is what I'm leading into. I believe they're doing a 10-year re-study at the end of this decade that will say they aren't going to expand east-west, and it will remove some of the safety
Yeah.
stops. So it looks like it's split, but I think within 4 years, it's going to be continuous.
That's why it's hatched. If the airport continues to plan for the crosswind runway, that area will need to be preserved as open space. If the airport would no longer keep that on their master plan or pursue it, then that area does become developable. That's why it's hatched green or purple, and similarly on the other side.
And that came from their purchase of Sheridan Airport. They had
Yeah,
the additional runways that way.
I'm not suggesting that airport's driving this. What I'm suggesting is that that is a huge chunk of land, folks. I don't, if you look at it comparatively, look at subdivisions that you're aware of and look at how big that is. For that to all be set aside as office and innovation, understanding that right now it is as rural gets, horse farms, large properties.
Next to
A
an
lot of
airport.
people are gonna need to have to sell for that to ever become anything other than what it is.
And I know Westfield, I don't know if they've adopted their new comprehensive plan. I think they have a public draft out there, and I know we looked at this months ago before.
And compared it to what was,
We looked at their current or previous plan, but it's 20 years old now, so I'm not sure what the
that's what I'm
new
looking
one-
at as an old one.
I'm not sure what the new one says for right here. Not that, again, going back to our previous conversation, not that they get to decide, but I just mentioned that.
I'm not speaking for them, but just conversations I feel like I've heard or been, you know, I do feel like they're, both sides want to take advantage of some airport AV opportunities. I do agree, Tim, if that striped area went away, where you're no-fly right now, that opens up, it changes the nature of the discussion, to your point. I don't think anyone wants to interrupt, and I hate that there are people out there who have a lot of rural opportunities right next to the airport already, but I do believe this is probably the greatest opportunity for Zionsville to develop AV that's not just your normal commercial hotel, retail stuff, that this could be high biotech opportunities that need an airport to fly out of. You get the LEAP district over, off 65 now. I don't know how much you have to carve out, like what's enough, I don't know. Maybe drawing that line where you are is cool, maybe that's okay, particularly if you can pick up all this, but we need to block out enough to make sure we can develop that in a way that's gonna really give us the revenue to support the whole rest of the town.
Yeah, I don't want to delay. I mean, I know we've been here for a while. I'm just suggesting that
I know.
that feels like we're
I-
kind of going pretty
Yeah.
deep into a very rural area.
Okay.
in
I'm
an
pulling
attempt
up
to just
the
have more
map
people.
of the future land use map, and it's all
For Westfield?
innovation district
On
on
Westfield
that
side?
side, yeah. That's what their draft right now.
Their draft, okay.
I will also say, we do have language in the plan that says, this area is intended to develop from 32 to
Yes.
the south. Kind of incrementally.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know if that alleviates all of the concern, but.
How far down does their plan
Thank you for
go with innovation? All the way down to 200?
Looks like it is, well, they don't use 200.
I know.
It's 166th Street.
So that would be
Okay.
100.
Each 10 is a mile, so
156.
200 is 156.
Down to 200, so they're picking up a big chunk. They're coming all the way down.
166 or 156?
166th is where it
Okay.
comes down to.
So they're coming right
So they're going to
where I'm
that one.
suggesting we draw.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're basically coming down to right where I'm suggesting we draw our line. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 minutes till 2.
Remove density ranges in chapter 4, pages 57 to 61. Zoning will dictate actual density. What were your thoughts on this, Adam?
Yeah, I'm okay to remove these. I think, as I mentioned at one of the previous meetings, we included these because there were concerns about the rural and estate residential areas potentially allowing a much greater density than we were planning. So that's why we included them specifically for that area, but because we were including it there, we thought it appropriate to include for the conventional subdivisions and mixed residential. If you're comfortable with the descriptions and the map, and again, like the comment says, ultimately this is going to come down to zoning. If they create more confusion or concern on your part, that's an easy
Yeah,
removal.
let's just, I just think take it out. That was my recommendation. Let's just take it out and let the zoning handle it, and we'll approve projects case by case based upon zoning. Everyone good with that?
Good.
But
Okay,
I do
cool.
feel like almost every project that comes before us, when we start talking about density, we refer to, what's the comp plan say about density? I feel like we refer to the comp plan as much as we do zoning. Do we not? I mean,
You do.
No, I don't.
You do.
I don't, because our comp
Okay,
plan,
maybe I do.
our comp plan's from 2003.
I do
I
for sure.
didn't say it was wrong, I just said you do.
I definitely do. Am I the only one? Maybe I have to back up all my videos.
Evan's look on his face was too big.
Well, I'm just saying, our comp plan that we use now is 20-plus years old, so to say that I look at the comp plan, no, not specifically. Again, I look at projects based upon what is the zoning call for the max density in that area, the underlying zoning. Are you fine with it? I don't think it's that big of a deal, to be honest with you. I think it just removes ambiguity and confusion.
I'm okay with it, it seems like everyone else is, but I feel like I need to think about some specific examples now of how that
When you want.
applied or not.
I think it can only hurt you. I think that if a developer comes in and says, well, you got it listed here as mixed residential, which allows up to 4 units per acre, right? But your underlying zoning is much more restrictive, or what they want to do is much,
Yeah,
I think it can only hurt you, but that's just my opinion.
yeah, I think that's the question. Is the zoning keep us more restrictive or not? And if it does, then I'm great with that.
The zoning is the law.
Honestly, I think it's a moot point. I think developers know how to manipulate net density. They'll throw in some, unbuildable land. They'll meet whatever the criteria is by manipulating the numbers. This is one of those where it seems like every time a development comes before us, it's not a gross density issue, it's a net density, and they're gonna manipulate them any way they need to, so we might as well stick to the.
Well, I thought there was some
95%
even
of our-
language in this plan about making sure that gross density did carve out wetlands, and so there was some tightening of this around gross density, but if that's not referenced, then I don't know if that part even has any teeth now.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think, yeah, it does, the comprehensive plan's a guide, right? It's as much as you want to, beat the table and point at things, you can. I think there is the implementation through zoning piece where it's a lot stronger if it's codified or defined in the zoning ordinance. But I do still think, we included it for a reason, and it's just specifically to address some of the concerns that you've raised.
That stays, it's just good language, you're keeping it in here, but I guess my point, Tim, is there is language that says, I think I even have it printed out. But anyway,
I think what Corey was going to say is the majority of our comprehensive plans do not include density ranges with regard to future land use.
There you go. That's all you need to know.
yeah,
Majority of people don't put it in there. Why should we?
because we're uniquely Zionsville.
And that's why we pay him the big bucks.
Okay, are you guys good with that? Okay, let's go to 7, fiscal impact accuracy concerns on the townhome student question, counts question, fiscal impact table, page 51. Sounds like HWC is proposing to add just a little commentary to that one, because it does say on there that townhomes are a negative impact to the schools, I believe. Is that what we're talking about? Yeah, let's just,
I checked with the schools just to make sure we're having correct documents, and they gave me numbers on where the students are coming from, and they're actually less than, was it? Less than, it was like 80 out of 8,000 students.
okay, so you'll just put some caveat language in there
Yeah.
about, this is a generalization and not
And it's,
a,
yeah, it's
Yes.
about, kind of idealized future development of 10 acres of this. It is not a commentary on the existing kind of number of students coming from townhomes or something like
I
that.
think this was just to represent people. I have a lot of apartments and townhomes in my district, and I just wanted to not have people have a negative connotation when the word literally says negative. I don't want people to start thinking negatively of their neighbors, and it's just something that I felt strongly enough to say, hey, can we asterisk this, that Zionsville is actually not incurring a negative influence?
Yep.
We can do that.
that one's good. I don't think any concerns about that one, that's just clarifying, okay? 8, village building footprint rules, clarify requirement for larger buildings to appear as multiple structures, see page 79 and 80. Discuss intent is better replicate traditional development pattern.
I think that, for me, it says in our comprehensive plan, again, I go back to a lot of the wording as well as the maps, and it said that larger buildings in the village district must appear as multiple structures. But we already know that there is someone coming to develop at the Sicko lot. I've listened to the RDC, I've seen, at the very least, iterations of what they're bringing. It does not look like multiple building structures, so I'm just trying to tell you, like, what is the intent of this being in the comprehensive plan? Because if it's in there, we need to have some sort of consistency. Would you agree with what I'm saying? Is it in the village business district description? Because now it's in the comprehensive plan, and if they don't agree, who trumps who? Sorry, Roger.
Get your steps in.
I know, maybe I should be walking around.
Again, regarding the question, which trumps which,
Yeah,
the zoning ordinance is law.
okay.
It's always gonna trump.
Yes.
So the fact that we put it in the comprehensive plan is incorrect.
No,
I
put
don't
what?
know. I'm not sure it's
There's a sentence
incorrect.
in, I could look, page,
The comprehensive plan
79.
establishes suggestions that guide future policies. So if this conflicts with something that's in your ordinances are still there,
okay.
but this says, hey, maybe this is something you can change in the future. So it's about, it doesn't create a conflict, but it creates, a condition where, hey, you do need to look at your ordinances if you want to be able to enforce that.
Right, okay, perfect way of saying it. That's why I, at some point said, I feel like the comprehensive plan that we are going to vote on is giving us calls to action. Do we want this action? That's my only question. If we want buildings in the village to look like multiple buildings, we need to take an action. And if we don't want that, we need to take it out. That was my point.
Is it in there right now that the village business district will not have monolithic structures?
It's on page 79.
Yeah, the text says basically, make big buildings look like multiple smaller buildings.
Then
You don't like that?
No, I like it.
Okay.
But there's something coming that doesn't match that.
Oh, well, that's fine. That's another case-by-case scenario. Okay,
But if it's in here,
next.
no, it's not.
You
in
do
here.
have language.
If it's in here, we have to change our,
You don't have to. But,
Okay.
I mean, I think it should be a discussion point when you do come around to revisiting zoning ordinances.
So leave it in here, because it's a guide, it's what you're hoping that
Okay.
we can aspire to.
So we're good on 8.
Okay.
9, Starkey Road classification concerns, confirm change to minor collector. I don't think anyone's gonna have any problems with that.
I'd like to change it to minor collector if that's okay. I had multiple constituents write me and say they felt like if we named it a major collector, it gave, it actually had specifications that would then have to expand the road and could take down established trees on Starkey Road.
Agreed.
Okay?
Got it.
So where are you, Evan? I had a, 10.
Just real quick on that planning,
Yeah, I've got a question. on
was the intent behind that to potentially connect east and west further, through,
No, I took a
through,
plan.
through to, Sycamore?
He said the intent would be in case someone sells their land or uses some of the open space to make a subdivision right there, that it would bring further subdivision, ordinance requirements. And I said I wasn't under the impression that this council had any, inclination to change the open space there. Because it's R2, I believe.
All right, thank you.
I've got a question, Adam, about the village real quick. In the packet that we got back in, this was like February, right? So, but it's got a breakdown of the items in the village. Mixed use, so obviously, office and innovation, mixed residential is all in the land use descriptions. Mixed use is not in here. Can you tell me what the mixed use permits and where I would find that? And it's also possible that I went from page 188 to like missing 192 or something. I mean, I don't know what page it would be on, but I don't have it.
So we don't have a mixed-use classification on the land use map. The mixed use would be that within the neighborhood or regional activity centers.
The mixed use was on page 189. There's a figure 11.4, the area south of the Village Business District concept sketch, and it
Oh.
says mixed use
Okay.
multiple times. And I think that's where Jason and I
Yeah.
both were like, wait, we got to visit this.
Okay, I'm sorry for the confusion on my part. Yeah, so that's, if we haven't defined that appropriately, I apologize. That would be, again, a combination of residential and commercial use, either within one building or potentially different buildings on the same site. So that would be apartments over retail.
Yeah, so I think this is candidly for me, this is where I go to, this feels like just a regurgitation of South Village.
Yep.
Because if that's the case, then we've got, whether it's apartments on top of commercial or whatever, it lines Zionsville Road, it lines 106th Street, and it goes all the way into the roundabout. And that was my, because as I look at my notes, that was the, I started going through here, it kind of regurgitates South Village, which,
And what we had put in South Village was that, kind of going back to what we actually started an hour, 2 hours ago, was that we were fine with things coming project by project, so that we could consider their immediate impact. But if it's in the comprehensive plan, it has or the South Village plan at the time, it had more of an automatic approval process, because it's one of the boxes that they check. Does it fit the comprehensive plan? Yep. So I think that was the pushback when we did it, and Evan worked to put some processes. You remember, you had put in processes in place.
Development plan process.
Development plans, so, and then we stopped doing the South Village, so now it seems like what we had tried to do within the South Village plan that we could be comfortable with and pass, we stopped, and now we're back to, it would come through without the development plan process approval, coming before us.
yeah, I think even the larger map that you handed out today has office and innovation. It kind of supersedes this piece here, because it's got office and innovation, essentially everything east of Zionsville Road, which I'm fine with.
No, part of it is the regional activity center. The Office and Innovation does come up to, why is that? Road escaping me.
Well, I don't want to throw the baby out with the
Ollie Street,
bathwater,
excuse me.
but I do think from my perspective,
Yeah.
I mean, that's something, and obviously I'm just one vote, but that was something that, for me, is pretty, we talked about before, I don't want, not having apartments where it's not currently zoned, and if multifamily is going to be an opportunity here. If we're removing it from the Regional Activity Center entirely, and that covers this, all of it.
Yeah.
I get it, but even on the mixed, the part that's the red right here, if we're not removing it from there too, I think I have a problem with it.
Yep, I understand that. Yeah, and again, I think that's what I mentioned earlier, is we're certainly going to go back and make sure that we don't just make a change one place that creates conflicts or inconsistencies. So we'll need to scrub this based on what we have talked about and anything else. So if, I think a couple things with regard to this area. Our intent was not to regurgitate the South Village plan. The input we received, I think, and if we misinterpreted, I apologize, was that there were a lot of good things in there. If there is, if this is showing too much potential for apartments and you don't want any in this area, we can certainly make those changes. If there is just a higher level of discomfort with this and you want it to come out of the comprehensive plan, we can do that. You obviously have these graphics and you can use them as much or as little as you want. I think from our standpoint, though, you will continue to see interest in this area. And it becomes a question of how much do you want to prescribe a vision, or how much do you want to leave it ambiguous or ambiguity and have to react to proposals every time they come in. I understand an interest in evaluating them individually, in that I think it has to be understood that this is just one concept of an infinite number of ways it could be built out. But this starts to emphasize, we expect buildings to address the street. We expect the 106th Street and Zionsville Road intersection to be a focal point with some open space and trail connectivity to our existing network, and things like that. But again, I don't want to include something that you aren't comfortable with. So there's a variety of edits that can happen.
No, I appreciate that. I think the, and this might feel aggressive to do it, but I would prefer to have the South Village removed from it. I think the idea when we reviewed South Village proposal was that we would review the proposals as they come in, as opposed to rezoning everything. But, I mean, again, that's maybe a little bit extreme, but
When you say that, you mean like it wouldn't be part of the comprehensive plan?
I mean, we were told that initially the comprehensive plan was to address everything except the village, and now it's obviously got it in there, and it has had it in there, and I understand that, but, I mean, we were opposed to the South Village as it was presented multiple times before, and our argument for turning it down was that we would come back and look at proposals as they came to us on an individual basis.
Yeah, I agree with you.
To test its merits.
But I do think it has to be in the comprehensive. It'd be odd to be like a black hole of like, this isn't in here. But I think you could do it in a way where, so how would you craft this plan in a way that, what would you call this? So it's not it's not an RAC, it's something else.
Were we taking apartments out of,
I thought we did take apartments out of
RAC?
RAC.
I think that's what Adam was saying is.
Other than we had that language.
It already has a change based on our early conversation.
But it added some language too. Remember Heather typed it up. It was like, but if it's above,
Premium.
yeah, premium above,
Premium above.
above a retail, which is
Part of
different.
what we can do with this is take the land use out of it. And so we deal with this mostly as form, which is just showing relationship of buildings to the street, how it could lay out. We leave the specific uses out. Things, we can put some general pointers in there. We want commercial fronting the streets. We don't want to see, apartments as part of this. we can simplify this down, so you have some guidance on
Yeah,
form at
'cause-
least, without getting real prescriptive on land use.
Yeah,
Well,
'cause
maybe
I would
take
ha-
page 189 out.
I would hate to lose like the streetscapes and some of the schematics, and I think some of the stuff that looks cool, right? But you take out some of that use language, right? You don't even talk about it. I mean, how
Well,
does
this is,
that make
this
people
is
feel?
why the village, whatever it was called before, it was South Village, right? And airport, like, it was an addendum to the comprehensive plan already, because it was so specific, because it's one really important area, that almost, Jason, it could almost be like we passed the comp plan, and then you go back and make sure there's a village plan that's very specific about that, that's inserted back into the comp plan?
I
Because
think
otherwise
this
you
is
can't.
bigger.
I mean,
This
this
is
is-
bigger than South Village.
This is a significant amount of residential activity
If
in
you
South
have the
Village.
comp plan, look at page 189. This is what we're
I
talking
mean,
about.
this is all residential, right
I can
here.
pass it down.
All of it. I mean, that's what all that is.
Yeah, but that's not part of defining in the RAC.
Well, that's already done. That's Creekside. It's done. This is all from Creekside.
But where's that on this, what is that?
That's in this, that's right here.
It's in the RAC,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
But these uses.
I think this is the page that,
I think Jason has it.
do 189?
Yeah.
That's
Get my bearings.
the Taylor Oil area.
Yeah. I mean, that's, so here's 106th Street.
Yeah.
This now goes to all homes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mixed use, mixed residential.
Take the graphs out.
Right. But what land use would you put here? Right now, it's mixed residential. That's
This is
actually,
very dense.
Well, on here,
it's
it
in,
is.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
maybe,
even mapped. I mean, this is like.
maybe that's the
Yeah.
answer, is I don't like the density. And of
It's the
course, the
density.
density is just a rendering, but, I mean, I think we're gonna have a really interesting situation with 106th Street as, you know, we go through and think about, you know, the hotel study and different things like that. If we truly plan for 106th Street to really, I guess, complement the commercial areas of Zionsville, I don't know that right across the street, we want the density that's being illustrated and/or proposed. But, I mean, again, I've said this before, I'm just one vote, but,
But you're also
I mean,
having this side of it.
otherwise, we should have just approved
South Village.
Emily's South Village or John's.
I think this is more dense than John's South Village.
Is this something that should be tabled, this piece? It's just gonna take too much time for today's purposes. Adam, you
I mean, I don't
get
know.
a sense of what the will of the group, what do you recommend for this spot? Because obviously this is very broad, and you're kind of throwing a really detailed piece, but like, for purposes of now, I mean, it just says it's Regional Activity Center, but there's a lot of detail that's already in here that's nowhere else in the plan.
Who gave you this? That's basically what you're asking, right? Like who?
Our sub-consultant Stan Tech developed that.
Okay.
Not just who gave it to you, I'm just saying, like, it's just a different piece of density and design than anywhere else on the plan.
And perhaps this is my, you know, just a lack of, you know, something on my part. I just assumed we were really focused on commercial areas where it was commercial, increasing our commercial tax base, and then specific to this area, I thought we were leaving this alone because otherwise we should have approved any of the prior developments that were handed, or proposals that were handed to us on the village anyway. Like, that was the whole, and I mean, you know, how many times did we hear, you know, well, I know I heard at least that the comprehensive plan was to focus on all the other areas, that the village was a
Well,
different animal.
this does bring
so.
commercial. So in fairness, you could say we're focusing on where commercial comes and put this in there.
Yeah, I think, I guess, I don't hear anyone saying, I love it, this is exactly what we want. So I think we can go back and it sounds like at a minimum, the sketch on 189 needs to come out. we need to take.
But I don't want it to come out if it's still part of it. That's the problem. Like, I don't want it removed if it's still
I understand.
part of the plan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so that, well, I guess, yeah, maybe just the whole 186 through 189 needs to come out, and where we have a discussion of the activity centers. I don't remember. Pages 72 and 73, we have the village and south of Eagle Creek, and we need to amend that language there to essentially say, you know, it is a special area, but again, I guess, case by case. My fear is that it doesn't give you all a lot of something to react to or provide guidance to landowners or developers, but if that's okay, then again, this is about your comfort level, not mine.
I mean, part of me just thinks that the reason this is such a unique area in our town is because I don't think there's been buy-in to a vision for how this should look. It hasn't happened in my 9 years on the council.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the problem, is there isn't a vision for what this should look like that everybody's all in on. So I don't know. I don't know if, you know, we need to talk to whoever has the hotel feasibility study to see if we try to work in, you know, that type of stuff down there, if we, you know, what we need to do. But I think whatever is happening with this village, whatever ends up getting passed with this comprehensive plan, we've said it before, it's our vision for the direction of the town, which is including, obviously, the South Village. And as you go in here and look, even the parking lot on Main and Sycamore and even over further. So I think there's a lot of things that we do have to consider specific to this. But maybe even taking this a little bit of a step further, I'm going to ask you for direction on, we're 2.5 hours into this and not even halfway through. And I asked Heather, I'm like, is this how this is supposed to go? And she's like, unfortunately, this is exactly how this is supposed to go. So what do we do here? I know we do have time if we wanted to pull together another one of these before the May 5th or 4th, 5th meeting, whatever it is. I don't know what.
That may not give him enough time to bring something back that's
No,
ready to
I mean,
go.
I'm committed to make this a priority. Corey is committed to
Yeah.
make sure this is my priority. So if we want to do another one before the May meeting, we can certainly make that happen. If we can, in the meantime, kind of maybe better focus some of this, again, I'll just say, I don't mean to pass the buck on our responsibility, but I feel like it was, you know, made clear that these all need to be vetted by the group, and we're not supposed to guess or play referee. So,
Sure.
you know, again, I'll say that's not a definitive answer to your question. I apologize, but we can do whatever you all are interested in. I will say real quick to go back, I think what you just said kind of summarizes maybe the issue with the South Village is that in the 9 years and maybe right now that there is still not a place where the community can come to a consensus on what this vision is, then the comprehensive plan needs to say exactly that there's still not a consensus on this area, and we're either going to take them as they come in the short term, or at some point in the future revisit this as its own, you know, sub-area planning and try to determine or identify that vision in the future.
Yeah, I mean, personally, for me, I'm good with that.
I think that's what we decided when we voted on South Village already. We've
Yeah.
already decided this.
Okay, well, then I apologize, we're having to relitigate it here.
No, I'm not thinking that you should have to apologize, but I'm just affirming to the group.
Yeah.
What Jason is saying. We as this council said that we wanted South Village to come one project at a time.
We did, but it also defaulted back to a plan that was passed 3 years ago. So there is something in the comprehensive plan that's still guiding the development here. That was that. If you, this takes that whole, this new comp plan nullifies the old comp plan, including the village area. So there's just nothing, there's no guidance at all now until we can quickly come back and say, I do believe it needs its own separate study that you can really dig into. We're not ready to do that, or maybe that's what this intention was. But see, I'm saying, like, there's nothing to fall, when we didn't pass it, it still fell back to what was in place in the comp plan. Now there's no mention, it's gone. There's no previous comp plan you can refer to. This is the new comp plan.
Are you prepared to offer a vision for South Village?
No, but I'm saying that we have to agree, we have to have one.
So my
Or if this
suggestion
council
would
has
be
one, then we need to put it in
that
here.
we say it can be commercial, and then, because if residential is what we're trying to limit in that area, but not commercial, we said we're bringing commercial to the,
I would just say this. To your point, Jason, I don't think anybody's prepared to put forward a proposal. However, we all had strong opinions when there was one before us. This is our opportunity to have an impact on what it could be in the future. If we punt, then whoever comes after us is going to have a lot of say as to what it is, and we may not like that, and it won't be our business. But, you know, I don't know if time would allow, or if we could use that as a starting point to get there and leave our fingerprints on it, and then we have a lot more control and say over what.
I guess that's what I'm saying. But to not do anything is more dangerous than to.
I just think it's
Trying to
more
take a shot at it.
cumbersome, maybe.
so why don't
Well,
we go
yeah,
back
I
to
was-
what Evan did?
I was going to say, I think to not do anything is exactly what we decided a year ago when we turned down the South Village proposal. Because what we said was if somebody can come to us with a proposal as is currently zoned, current land use, and they can knock it out, knock it out. If they need to make an amendment, if they've got a project, bring it to us and we would hear the project. We said we would do that. This doesn't change that philosophy. I think adopting something, whether we intend to or not, does cast a vision. And to your good point, maybe the answer is we need to really dial it down, or dial it in and say, this is the vision of the council for South Village. Or we hear the proposals as they come to us individually. The fact of the matter is the land, the utilities, everything is so expensive. We're seeing this with this current proposal. I mean, I hate to say this, and, you know, somebody will probably challenge me on it, but show me a developer that can go in there and do what they want without some help in this environment, right? I mean, they're going to come to the town for help. So whether it's the utilities or whether it's, you know, just like the developer who's doing it now. So.
My only point is, as an investment in Zionsville, it is, first of all, it's on the edge. So if there's gonna be density, I'd kinda like for it to be on the edge where it's not right in the middle of everything, and easy in, easy out. That's probably one of the easiest places to get in and out, because you've got Zionsville Road and 106th, which lead to major thoroughfares. And then the last point is, man, that would be an opportunity for some decent AV in that area.
Well, I think the final product of South Village was close.
It was close.
It was close.
There were things we didn't
So
like.
maybe that's one more delay to the final approval of this, is to revisit that and pull back from what is being drawn on page 189. And find
Would it be
some
strange to have a comp plan where this section of the town, which admittedly is the most important, is just kind of like, it's not really in the comp plan?
Yes, I think that would be strange. At a minimum, it needs to have something on it in the future land use map, right? If you want to say we can't agree on the details of what that is, that's certainly understandable. But I would not have just kind of grayed out, no recommendation.
It could be commercial, for example, and then figure it out later.
Yes.
And then just for consensus, Jason and I were trying to work on some language. Could we then just have some language that would say, there's no consensus on development in this area at this time. Projects will be reviewed by the town council on a case-by-case basis. The town council will create a South Village development guidelines document that will supplement the comprehensive plan at a future date.
Oh, I don't know about that, I like that. Can we say it should be commercial?
And
I
Then you're
think
agreeing,
it-
I
I think
think.
it should be commercial more than nothing. I really do.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we take can we take a stab at another blow-up map and just maybe go through and frankly, probably lean a little bit on, because there's a lot going on in that area right now. Could we maybe look at maybe just taking parcel by parcel and looking at maybe what we think?
Yeah.
I think there's a concept like that. I would caution that we may need to spend so much time on that it's going to take more than just the time we've got till May to get that done and done right and build consensus on it. I think if we could, let us take a look at it and bring something to you at your next meeting that at least starts it. Because I think I'm hearing some very consistent language across all of our regional activity centers, which is, again, a de-emphasis on residential, more emphasis on the commercial. And if we can take hospitality, more retail, more commercial, and put,
Hospitality, connectivity, green space, office and innovation.
and we put that
That's it.
into this kind of a mix with this kind of a layout that we already have. Think about the general layouts of the geometry of it. We can overlay some, I would just say, simple boxes that don't tie you down to anything, that are not trying to go vertical and understand what scale it is at this point to too much degree, but we can start to look at that in the layout and give you some ideas that would at least start to point this direction that everybody's saying of commercial, hospitality, office, innovation, in those kind of spaces.
Okay. And then we are going to have another meeting, so that's where that could come to be presented to us?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think this next meeting will be, let's just tie up 1 through 10 that we've talked about today. And then I think the next few are just all very quick, easy.
That was the heavy lift right there.
Yeah,
I
these
think
are
the big one that I think the public needs a little bit of background on in education is this, why does the comp plan not call for green space, right? And we've gone over and over and over about why there isn't a calling out for particulars on green space, and maybe we just bring that up at that, because I feel like 3 or 4 of these comments that are left deal with this concept of, well, why aren't we calling out where we're gonna put all of our parks in the future? Well, because we're not in the business of doing that, so.
I agree, and even on what is item 12 on the bottom of page 2, I already took the liberty to try to consolidate what were some varying comments related to open space, and should the comprehensive plan prescribe a minimum percentage. Ultimately, I think that needs to come down to the zoning ordinance. If you want more of a, foundation in the comprehensive plan, we can. I will say, I think what some of the comments acknowledge is, the comprehensive plan does talk a lot about open space and protecting open space, and admittedly, it's the, how does that apply geographically? That's the next
Yeah, but
piece.
people wanna see like a number, 25%, 30%,
Right.
and I'm not at that point. I think we need to explain that.
Yeah, okay.
Is it possible for this group to meet on the 27th? Monday, the 27th.
At this time?
Same time if you have it. This time, maybe we'll provide some lunch.
Yeah.
That was the promise last time.
I apologize. Poor communication.
Yeah.
Can you guys do that, Adam? Can your team do that?
2 weeks, right?
Offering more in the morning.
Yeah, I'm,
I just wanna get it done.
You can't. Adam can't. New date.
Are you out of town that entire week?
No, just Monday. We have the National Planning Conference that's over the weekend into
That doesn't sound like you're prioritizing us.
I mean, we can,
Wednesday, the 29th?
Kidding.
Yeah,
Does Wednesday work?
Yikes. What's that?
29th? at noon?
29th? I could do the 29th.
I can do the 29th.
Noon? What time?
12 o'clock,
12 to-
same place?
12 to 2:30.
12 to 2.
12 to 4? Just kidding.
I think like a lot of them, like the ones that I said I wanted to talk about at the end, those will be quicker, a lot quicker.
Got it down.
Yes, do it.
I mean, I'm always the kind of guy that's like, the public, nobody wants to see how the sausage is made, but unfortunately, there's no way around this one. So I think we kind of have to get back together and go back through it again, and
We're saying 29th at noon?
29th at noon. Amy, can you publish that, please?
Yes, and the room is available.
Awesome, thank you.
And once again, we won't be accepting public comment at that meeting either, right?
That's right. Yeah, public comment will still be reserved for the first meeting in May, which, yeah, the 4th. Would you guys be able to have everything ready for the 4th?
What'd you say?
Justin says no. Yeah, completed
won't
and
be posted.
posted.
That pushes it.
Can't we just do it at the mid-May meeting and then it'll be teed up for planning commission the next week, right?
If we're going to do it for the mid-May
that night?
meeting, then I want to open up public comment on the first May meeting, because otherwise we won't have the public an opportunity to say something. So maybe what we would do then is have on the first May meeting, Amy, we add a specific public comment regarding comprehensive plan. We would still adhere to our public speaking rules. And then we would be in a position to approve the comprehensive plan at the mid-May meeting, the morning
And is
meeting.
the planning meeting right after on the same day? Because then they wouldn't have it, right? Isn't that the point?
When is planning next?
It would be that.
That night,
That
like the
night? Oh,
17th,
oh, then
they
they-
wouldn't have it anyway. So they would go to June.
but if,
It's all right. I mean, I'm not worried about the final approval going to June. I mean, because it's got to go back to them, I guess. But, I mean, they could also call a special meeting if they wanted to. They don't have to. I wouldn't push them to.
we meet on the 29th, we're gonna work on everything we've talked about today. If we meet on the 29th, I can have a list of everything we discussed then to you by the end of the day on Friday the 1st. Now, obviously, that only gives you and the public the weekend to look at it, but again, we would have that list for you at the meeting on the 4th, for public comment on the 4th, and then, again, could be back on the 18th.
I'm going to be a little bit bold here. I think we might hear from our constituents that we only gave them 48 hours to review a 222-page document that we've made substantial changes to. I think we should give them till.
Well, they've had it for a year.
And
we're making
they've,
small
and they've,
changes.
yeah, I mean, I don't think these are massive tweaks. Now, again, for the record, I'm fine to do this and have the public speaking at the first May meeting and then approve it for us in the mid-May meeting. I'm fine to do that. They'll also have an opportunity to go back to the Plan Commission and talk to the Plan Commission, likely, if the Plan Commission lets them.
I just
So,
want to make sure people don't
Yeah.
say to me, wait, we had 48 hours to get to you.
Yeah.
That's kind of not fair.
yeah,
But if we aren't approving it until the 18th, we're going to give them a chance to speak that day too? Is that what you're saying?
no, I think we do the first May meeting, the evening meeting. I mean, that's always been my intent, was to give everyone an opportunity to do the evening meeting, because that's when the ones people can go to.
And then if they feel like 48 hours wasn't enough, they have to go to the plan?
No, they can contact their,
No, I think you need speaking at both, because, it won't be out there long enough.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, okay.
So we would have a public comment at the first May meeting and the second May meeting. in our traditional format. I think you're right, because you want to see the final document. We won't have that for the first May meeting. It'll just be the draft that everyone's seen publicly. I think
That works.
But yes, every version of this since after the first one has been on the project website, and
It's true.
so if, I mean, again, I understand that not everyone has seen all of those or may want to comment on other pieces, but if we're focused to what the changes are, and we will certainly be very clear on page numbers and where those changes are happening. Hopefully, it does not require a rereading
So
of 220.
the changes that we've agreed upon today would be on that site at what point?
Well, so, I mean, we'll keep a list of them in a Word document to say, here's the change, here's where it is in the document. If you want, my only concern with creating an interim between now and in a couple weeks and posting that online is that, does that start to confuse what the Plan Commission forwarded versus what you're sending back to the Plan Commission? So we can post, again, your comments and suggested changes, but I wouldn't probably suggest posting a whole new PDF.
It would be really confusing to the public to get a 200-page document, and even if you tell them where to look, we find that's very confusing in the adoption process. Just a list of the changes so that it's very clear what has changed is the easiest for the public, and frankly, you guys to be able to absorb that.
And I was just going to say, I agree with both of you. I did take a lot of notes, which I've sent to Adam in his inbox, just to make sure that he and I are aligned on what the actual final language is. And I'll send that back out to the full council once Adam has a chance to look at my notes from today, just as a working document. And then if there's not a point of clarity, or maybe you all thought you said something else, you could send it back to us. You could also send to Adam and I in advance of the next meeting on the 29th. He's got the comments listed on what the proposed changes by at least one counselor. So if you'd take a few minutes maybe and just look at that, you can redline it. I'm going to have what he sent in a Word document. You can even just send me red lines. Then we could compile them. That might make it go a little bit quicker on the 29th.
So you're sending your Word document to each of us?
I will send it to each of you with the comments that were all made today.
Great.
And the consensus recommendations once Adam's brain looks at it to make sure it aligns, okay?
So just to be clear for the public, we are going to have another meeting in a couple weeks. That'll be published. Amy will publish that. That's what we say that was, 29th, Wednesday the 29th, here at Town Hall, 12 to 2. It'll be online as well. Adam and his team will, they have the document on the website now, and they will give us the completed document as soon as possible after that meeting. We'll hold public, we'll have public comment on the May 4th meeting. We will not take action on the May 4th meeting. We will have public comment at the mid-May meeting, and we'll take action there. So there will be at least 2 opportunities for public comment. Obviously, continue to reach out to your counselors for those that want to continue to be engaged. And I, want to thank the people who have. There's been a tremendous amount of people in this community that's reached out, so. I miss anything? Anybody? All right, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second from Councilor McElderry. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7 in favor, 0 opposed.